Let's be honest, who hasn't fought a Beyblade battle during recess thinking it was the final of a world championship? We'd carry our launchers around like trophies, and the sound of metal clashing was basically the soundtrack of our childhood. It was serious business. Respect was on the line. But then the anime came along and literally turned our little game into something completely over the top. And I mean that in the best way possible. It escalated to a point where it felt like Dragon Ball, but with Beyblades. There were legendary beasts, special attacks that split the ground open, and villains trying to take over the world. Jinga's journey in the Metal Saga is exactly about that wild ride. The transformation of a simple game into an all-out war for the fate of humanity, where strength didn't come from the blades, but from that iconic blader spirit. And today, we're reliving that entire story, from beginning to end. In the middle of a tournament, Kenta gives it his all with his Flame Sagittario, but he's ultimately defeated and vows to get stronger. That's when the Face Hunters show up to steal Bay points from weaker bladers. Benkei corners Kenta until a blue Bay rips through the air and knocks out the bullies. It's Jinga's Storm Pegasus. He doesn't mince words. Beyblade is supposed to be fun. 5-on-1 isn't how a true blader fights. In seconds, he wipes the floor with the entire gang. Later, lying in the grass, Jinga philosophizes about the blader's spirit. Power isn't in the parts, it's in the heart. Meanwhile, the Face Hunters report back to their real boss Kiyoya, who orders a rematch at any cost. The next day, they kidnap Jinga and announce a 1 vs 100 challenge in a tower. Kenta rushes in to help and witnesses the impossible. Pegasus explodes with power and takes down all 100 bays in a single strike. Silence falls until Kiyoya appears, imposing, revealing his Rock Leone. A worthy rival has finally entered the scene, and the storm is just beginning. Jinga becomes an instant legend, defeating 3 bladers at once, while Kenta becomes his #1 fan, spreading the story of the victory against the Face Hunters. Elsewhere, Kiyoya trains with an almost sick obsession to crush him. In the town square, a girl examines Pegasus as if reading an open book. It's Madoka, a Bay mechanic. She takes them to her shop, the Bee Pit, and convinces Jinga to leave Pegasus for a full tune-up. At that moment, the Face Hunters steal Kenta's Sagittario and challenge Jinga to a battle at Metal Tower. Pegasus isn't ready, but Jinga goes anyway. At the top, the trap is sprung. If Jinga loses, they'll throw Sagittario off the tower. Kyoya's Rock Leone creates a wall of wind that blocks everything. But from a distance, Madoka figures out the trick. With her tip, Jinga attacks from above with his Star Blast attack, hitting Leone's weak spot and winning. Kiyoya, in shock, gets his first taste of defeat. Later, while Madoka scolds him for fighting with the damaged Pegasus, a mysterious man appears, Doji, offering the furious Kiyoya a path to finally take Jinga down. Kiyoya and the Face Hunters are taken by helicopter to a fog-shrouded mountain. Doji, the leader of the Dark Nebula, makes it clear, if Kiyoya wants to surpass Jinga, he must push past his limits. At the Bee Pit, Kenta and the gang beg Jinga to be their master, but he completely dodges the responsibility. At the mountaintop, Doji makes a proposal. If Kiyoya wins, he's free. If he loses, he'll face special training. Before the battle even starts, Doji humiliates Benkei and the gang with his Dark Wolf just to show them who's boss.
Okay, eat Beyblade, boys!
Afraid that Jinga will leave for lack of rivals, Kenta decides to become one himself. He even loses on purpose just for a chance to challenge him and convince him to stay. The battle between Kiyoya and Doji begins. Leone's Lion Gale Force Wall fails spectacularly, and Dark Wolf's Darkness Howl takes Kiyoya down. He accepts his fate at the training center. Later, Kenta faces Jinga and almost wins, but the Star Blast attack settles it. Jinga reveals he never planned to leave. True strength comes from determination and the blader's spirit. Far away, the Face Hunters worry about Kiyoya's disappearance, and the name Doji begins to echo. Jinga celebrates catching the last triple burger at the restaurant, only to discover it's a hot dog. Elsewhere, Benkei trains, consumed by Kiyoya's defeat, and when Doji appears, he accepts an upgrade. The Dark Bull, a flashback, reveals the origin of his loyalty. Despite being called weak, Benkei challenged Kiyoya dozens of times until he earned his respect and swore to follow him. Back in the present, Madoka gives Kenta and his friends a Beyblade lesson, explaining the types: attack, defense, stamina, and balance. Benkei tests out Dark Bull by crushing 10 face hunters and sends a message. He's coming for Jenga. At the abandoned dock, bull-shaped holes mark his entrance. The fight begins brutally, and Bull's power brings the ceiling down. When a giant rock falls toward Jenga, Benkei shoves him out of the way, saving his life. In that opening, Pegasus lands the final blow and wins. Jenga extends a hand, acknowledging his rival's strength, but Benkei refuses and walks away. Tough guy act? Maybe, but at the restaurant, while Jenga finally eats his burger, Benkei nods his finger in rage and pain. At the B-pit, a kid shows up with a scratched-up bay. There's a vandal on the loose, and Jenga decides to play detective. Far away, Benkei and Kyoya continue their training until a weird, crab-obsessed guy crosses their path, Tetsuya. He soon reveals himself as the culprit, challenging Kenta's friends with his Mad Gasher and vowing to destroy anyone who gets in his way. Kenta faces him, but Tetsuya cheats and is about to finish off Sagittario when Pegasus cuts through the wind. Tetsuya is unfazed. He's kidnapped Madoka and trapped her in a hole full of crabs. Now he wants a best of 3. The arena is a sanctuary of mud and pincers. Jenga wins the first round but loses the second when real crabs jam Pegasus. Tetsuya then unloads his trauma. He was abandoned by a friend during a battle and decided to go around scratching up everyone else's fun. Inspired by Kyoya, Jenga uses Tornado Wing to clear the arena and lands a direct hit, winning the match. Madoka reappears unharmed. She was saved by Benkei, who left without a word. She offers to fix Gasher if Tetsuya apologizes. He flees, screaming that friends don't exist. On the beach, Benkei renews his vow. One day, he will defeat Jenga. Benkei and the face hunters block a girl at the town's entrance. Hikaru isn't playing around. Her wind Aquario destroys the entire gang without breaking a sweat. Benkei, impressed, assures her he knows someone who can match her. At the B-pit, Jenga and Kenta reach the finals of a tournament, and Jenga passes out during his launch. He has a cold, is terrified of needles, and is completely embarrassed. A flashback shows Hikaru's doctrine, taught by her mother: defeat the strongest to grow stronger. Inspired, Kenta asks Madoka for a special move. She installs claws on Sagittario, but warns him that only practice will help. Nothing works. Then Benkei pressures him, demanding to see Jenga face Hikaru. With no other choice, Kenta has a terrible idea. He'll pretend to be Jenga. The disguise obviously fails in the first second. Hikaru's Aquario vanishes and reappears with a performance tip that changes during battle, and Kenta is massacred. Still, he persists, spending his Bay points until only one is left. He fights with everything he has, and loses again. Hikaru leaves, victorious. Watching from a distance, Benkei sees a reflection of his own past in Kenta's stubbornness, and approaches him with a different look in his eyes. He grabs him by the collar, throws him on the ground, makes him run across the entire city, and creates an insane boot camp. Jenga and Madoka find Kenta mid-sprint and find it amusing, until they see his Bay pointer is at 0. They spy on the training and learn the truth. Kenta lost everything pretending to be Jenga. Someone else is also spying, Tetsuya, who runs off to expose the charade. Furious at having faced an amateur, Hikaru demands a match with the real Jenga the next day. For the rematch, Madoka equips Kenta with a metal face, and Tetsuya tries to sabotage him, but Benkei holds him off in a battle just to buy his friend time. In the arena, Hikaru repeats her phantom tactic, but this time, Kenta is ready. With the new part and a sharp strategy, he lands Sagittario Flameclaw and secures the victory. Benkei celebrates with him, and then declares their friendship over. Now they're rivals again. To make matters worse, instigated by the tattletale Tetsuya, the face hunters kick Benkei out for helping the enemy. It's the price of having a good heart. Doji watches, satisfied. Kyoya is evolving, and he only wants one thing: Jenga's battle data. At the B-pit, Benkei is now part of the crew and reveals the reason for his obsession. Defeating Jenga was his way of saving Kyoya, who was taken by a mysterious man. Moved, the friends ask Benkei to train them, while Jenga tries to find out who kidnapped his rival. Kyoya receives a new mission: climb Wolf Canyon, jump from a helicopter, and awaken the fangs of his heart. At the summit, he even faces down wolves with his Rock Leone, commanding respect. Meanwhile, Jenga stumbles into a bizarre adventure. He accidentally gets on a truck and becomes the star of a game show, Challenge Blader, hosted by a talking camera named Mercy. 3 bays at once? Defeated. Endure 60 seconds? Done. When he goes to claim his prize, the mask comes off. It was all a trap to collect his data. Mission accomplished, they push Jenga out of the truck. He reunites with Madoka and Kenta, completely confused. And in the distance, Doji toasts. Now he has exactly what he needs. Tetsuya proclaims himself the new leader of the Face Hunters until the door creaks open and Kyoya returns. He is cold, silent, with a look that recognizes no one. The cheater dares to challenge him for leadership. With a single attack, Kyoya destroys Tetsuya, the warehouse, and the entire gang's morale. And declares the end of the Face Hunters. Benkei despairs. Kenta forces a duel, losing on purpose just so his friend can vent. Benkei then goes to confront Kyoya. The conversation turns into a battle, and this Kyoya is different, cruel, laughing like a madman as he shatters Dark Bull. Kenta tries to help, and both are steamrolled together. At the peak of his coldness, Kyoya moves to crush their base on the ground. Benkei throws himself over them to protect them, and Kyoya steps on him without a second thought. In parallel, Jinga has a friendly match with Hikaru, wins, and reminds her of the essence of the game. Have fun, even in defeat. That night, Kyoya stares at the sky and seals his fate. Friends are a weakness. Amidst laughter, he vows to end Jinga. A storm rages as the B-pit's door bursts open. Kenta enters, dragging an unconscious Benkei. Between blackouts, the giant can only ask for one thing: bring back Kyoya's blader's spirit. With the message delivered, he passes out and starts snoring, calming everyone down. Jinga heads to the open-air stadium, where the wind favors Leon. Doji watches on a big screen, elegant with his glass of juice, as Jinga's Star Blast attack fails miserably. Kyoya smirks, certain of victory, scoffs at Benkei, and creates a tornado that swallows Pegasus. When all seems lost, the kids, Hikaru, the ex-Face Hunters, Tetsuya, and even Benkei reappear to cheer him on. Jinga hears Leon's cry, saddened by its blader's path, and finds new strength. In a moment of pure faith, he summons Storm Pegasus from the constellation and unleashes the Pegasus meteor shower attack, sweeping Leon out of the stadium. Kyoya, in shock, tries to understand what happened. A helicopter lands. Doji steps out, applauding with an enigmatic smile and the same juice in his hand, as if he expected this outcome all along. Jinga recognizes him from his past and seethes with rage. Before any talk, Doji mocks Kyoya's training and launches his Dark Wolf against him. Exhausted, Kyoya is defeated instantly. A monument collapses toward Madoka and Kenta, but Benkei throws himself in front of them, holding up the structure with his bare hands. In the chaos, Jinga vanishes, chasing after Doji. Later, Kyoya wakes up, covered in bandages. Madoka brings him food and his Rock Leon already repaired. Why such kindness after everything? Because that's Jinga's way, and because Benkei never gave up on him. Jinga returns, exhausted, and comes clean. The Dark Nebula wants to use bays for evil. The Forbidden Bay, Lightning El Drago 100HF, has been awakened and must be stopped. Kyoya, listening from the shadows, leaves. The group hunts for the enemy base with no luck. That's when Kyoya appears with a cryptic clue about the moon and a helicopter's flight time. Debt paid, he disappears again. With the hint, Madoka and Kenta locate the castle. The door is a fortress, and bays attacked from all sides, even from the sky. When it seems like the end, Kyoya reappears, summons a tornado with Leone, and takes everything down. It's not friendship, he says, it's another debt. To Doji, Jinga, Benkei, and Kenta dive into the tornado to gain momentum, and together they breach the steel gate. Inside, someone in a capsule begins to awaken. They storm the base and are greeted by a mocking host. Mercy, the Challenge Blader computer program, now in control of the traps. The first corridor is an endless conveyor belt. Madoka trips, pulling Kenta down. Benkei slips and drags Kyoya with him. Only Jinga holds his ground as bays fire at him, until Benkei launches Dark Bull, shatters the belt, and catapults Jinga forward. Walls spring from nowhere. The elevator stops on the third floor, all meticulously planned. A giant black bay blocks the path. The unbalancing trick doesn't work, and only the combined power of Kenta, Benkei, and Kyoya takes the monster down, revealing Kyoya's old training room. Madoka finds a terminal and engages in a hacking duel with Mercy. Benkei and Kenta hold off the trainees who appear. Kyoya faces a pair of Blader twins, unleashes his special move, and clears a path for Jinga. In the dining hall, the impeccably dressed Doji tries to tempt him to the dark side. Jinga remembers his father and refuses. The battle is tense, but the Blader spirit decides the outcome, a victory for Pegasus. Then, the capsule shatters. A purple aura sweeps across the ceiling, and Ryuga appears above, laughing. The true nightmare has awakened. Jinga faces Ryuga in the colossal stadium that rises from the sea, as Doji narrates the legend of El Drago, an ancient power capable of parting the sea. Ryuga leaps from the castle straight into the arena, and the one-sided battle begins. With every impact, Pegasus is repelled by waves of dark energy. Doji reveals the secret. El Drago is a left rotation bay, turning its opponent's strength against them. Jinga tries to convert the rotational energy, launching his Star Blast attack, and El Drago bats it out of the air, nearly knocking Pegasus out. Then Ryuga crosses a line and insults Jinga's father. Something inside him breaks. Jinga's eyes turn red and his aura grows dark. He charges forward, blinded by revenge, and Kenta cries. Seeing his friend lose himself, Ryuga decides to end the game and summons 3 dark dragons. The massive attack pins Storm Pegasus to the stadium floor. Jinga falls to his knees. Ryuga smirks and says a Blader spirit is his favorite meal. The defeat is total and humiliating. Jinga wakes up in a recurring nightmare, El Drago crushing Pegasus. In reality, he's in a state of collapse. He won't eat, won't speak, barely recognizes anyone. A rookie named Osamu challenges him. At the moment of launch, the image of Ryuga flashes in his mind, and Jinga freezes, losing badly. Kenta follows him and convinces him to open his heart. And then the full story comes out. Koma Village, his father Ryo, strong, generous, who taught him that Beyblade is about joy. A ceremony where Pegasus lights torches leading to a shrine as the constellation shines in the sky, until the Dark Nebula's helicopter shatters the silence. Ryuga and Doji invade the volcano to steal El Drago. Ryo fights back but is overwhelmed by the Forbidden Bay's evil power. The volcano collapses. With no way out, Ryo throws Pegasus to his son and in a final gesture gives him a thumbs up before being buried by the rocks.
Become strong, Jinga.
Back in the present, Kenta weeps. They understand his pain and need for revenge, but they also realize Jinga can't let himself be consumed by it. Jinga disappears, leaving only a curt note behind. Kenta, Madoka, Benkei, and Kyoya refuse to abandon him. They set off for his hometown, Koma Village. Meanwhile, Ryuga trains in a sinister fashion, destroying swarms of bladers just to feed El Drago. The group's journey is total chaos, hunger, exhaustion, and a monkey that steals their last bit of food. Tensions explode and they split up. A mysterious hand pets the monkey. Someone is watching them. Madoka and Kenta nearly fall off a cliff, but a young man named Hyoma saves them and catches a river full of fish using his bay. Kyoya and Benkei face a wild boar. An unknown bay knocks down a tree and scares the animal away. When they all finally regroup, Hyoma appears in both places, despite claiming to be alone. Still, he offers to guide them to Koma. Benkei, Kenta, and Madoka accept. Kyoya remains suspicious, watching his every move. Clearly, there's more to Hyoma's smile than meets the eye. By a stream, Jinga confronts the pain of his father's loss. On the trails, the group follows Hyoma in circles. Kyoya, ever suspicious, leaves piles of rocks along the path and exposes their guide's deception. Confronted, Hyoma tries to deflect, but Kyoya launches Rock Leone against the rocks and forces him to reveal Rock Ares. Accused of serving the Dark Nebula, Hyoma proposes a test. If one of them can beat him, he'll lead them to the village. Kenta fights with everything he has and loses. Benkei tries his luck and also falls. Before Kyoya can launch his bay, Hyoma drops the act and decides to guide them anyway. It was all a test to see if they were worthy, and more importantly, if they were truly Jinga's friends. A secret passage opens to Koma Village. Meanwhile, alone in the forest, Jinga sees a figure and seems to recognize who is behind it. Hyoma finally introduces them to Koma Village. A talking dog appears out of nowhere, startling everyone before quickly winning over Madoka. It's Hoikuto, a blader, and an old family friend. He tells them Jinga isn't there. He's climbing a mountain of ice in search of the legendary Blader's scroll, seeking a way to defeat Ryuga. Hoikuto says it's a personal journey, but his friends don't hesitate and go after him. Jinga, in full climber mode, uses Pegasus to carve a path, facing traps with bays firing from walls and even an avalanche, which he destroys with his special move. Meanwhile, the group is blocked by a concrete wall. Kenta, Benkei, and Kyoya try to break through it without success. At the mountain's peak, Jinga finds the scroll and instantly recognizes the handwriting. It's his father's. The legendary blader was Ryo. The message cuts like an icy wind but warms his heart. Stop looking for shortcuts. Trust in your own experience and determination. Reinvigorated, Jinga descends the mountain and reunites with his friends, the spark back in his eyes. Finally himself again. With his spirit renewed, Jinga apologizes and makes a promise. He will defeat Ryuga. We learn that Hyoma was his childhood friend. They learn to battle together in the mountains of Koma. Hoikuto notices Hyoma's restlessness. He wants to test his friend's newfound flame. The battle takes place in his private arena, a green stadium made from a meteorite with a magnetic field that pulls any bay not named Rock Ares to its center, the Green Hades Trap. Pegasus is mercilessly dragged in. If it falls, Jinga's promise will be broken. He risks it all. Launching Pegasus high into the air, he uses Star Blast attack on impact and shatters the entire stadium. The cracks trap Ares. Pegasus seizes the opening, charges, and finishes the fight. Hyoma smiles, proud. Now Jinga is ready to face Ryuga again. He decides to stay in the village. Jinga, Kenta, Madoka, and Benkei continue on, stronger and more united than ever. Madoka becomes a human pit stop, tuning up all the gang's bays until she passes out from exhaustion with parts stuck to her face. Jinga, Benkei, and Kenta arrive, singing their bay's theme songs, and rush to test them out. Jinga steamrolls 4 bladers at once. Kenta and Benkei, however, are startled. Their bays are acting strange. Then comes the reveal. Madoka swapped their performance tips and spin tracks. Sagittario's C145 works better with Bull, and vice versa. At first, it's a shock. Within minutes, it's love. They become obsessed with customization, teaching the younger kids, and Benkei goes around smashing holes in walls as if there's no tomorrow. A screen announces a crazy WBBA tag team tournament with endurance and skill challenges. Kenta and Benkei dive into the competition. A floating platform, an artificial waterfall, jumps between arenas. At a critical moment, their case of spare parts falls into the water. Game over?
No! Don't leave us!
Our precious parts!
Jinga appears and lays it down straight. The power is in the blader, not the arsenal. He proves it himself. With their confidence restored, the duo returns for the finals, wins in an ice stadium, and ends the day inventing bizarre launch styles, much to Jinga's dismay. Doji and Ryuga fly toward the desert in search of a new recruit. There, an energetic boy, Yu, immediately challenges Ryuga without a shred of fear. Doji notes, "This kid is special." Ryuga accepts with a predatory look. At the B-pit, the WBBA announces the survival battle. 1,000 bladers parachuting onto an island, with one wish as the prize for the champion. Benkei dreams of a steak, Jinga of a burger. Priorities. The island becomes a true battle royale. Kyoya, Gyoma, Tetsuya, and Hikaru also land. Benkei tries to team up with Kyoya and gets rejected. It's every blader for themselves now. Jinga lands and immediately eliminates 5 opponents. Kyoya, Hikaru, and Kenta also win their first battles. Benkei, on the other hand, falls into a trap set by Tetsuya, who threatens to throw their bays into the sea if they don't join his team. They refuse, and just as the crab guy is about to toss them, Sagittario rips through the air and saves the bays. The crew teams up, corners Tetsuya, and defeats him in a group battle. Kenta tries to teach him a lesson. Cheating isn't Beyblade, but Tetsuya flees without learning a thing. Over the loudspeaker, the blader DJ announces fewer than 100 competitors remain. The game just got serious. The survival battle is heating up, and the only thing on Jinga's mind is a hamburger. Madoka tries to get him to think of a better wish, but he just wants to fight. On the other side of the island, Kyoya and Hikaru are locked in a duel that never seems to end, to the point where they take a break to sweep away some random bladers. That's when Hyoma emerges from the bushes and calls Kyoya out for a one-on-one. The fight is intense. Despite losing to the Lion Gale Force wall, Hyoma manages to wreck Leon's performance tip. A victory that tastes like defeat for Kyoya. Meanwhile, Benkei and a hand-injured Kenta run into Yu. The cheerful little boy takes them to a first aid station, acting all helpful, but the peace is short-lived. Hikaru challenges Yu, Benkei, and Kenta to the arena. With his Flame Libra, he summons a sand trap that swallows bays like a black hole. To cap it off, he fires a devastating green light that illuminates the island and knocks everyone out at once. The crowd is in shock. That kid wasn't just another competitor. He was a monster, Jinga, Madoka, and Kyoya arrive at a horror movie scene. Kenta, Benkei, and Hikaru are unconscious on the ground. In the middle of the chaos, a bizarre detail: Yu's flame Libra is still spinning, the last survivor of the mayhem. Yu himself appears, mockingly proclaiming himself the final boss, and the Blader DJ announces the fight will be broadcast on the big screen for the whole world to see. Kyoya goes first. Rock Leone charges. Libra even wobbles, but recovers instantly. The secret? Its eternal sharp performance tip, which Madoka identifies on the spot. Pegasus joins the fray but gets nowhere. Kyoya loses his cool and unleashes King Lion Tearing Blast, but Yu counters with a sonic wave, trapping Leone's tip in the sand and draining its energy until it cracks. Madoka saves Leone by throwing a random bay into the arena, but Kyoya is disqualified. He storms off furiously, which, according to Benkei, is his way of saying thanks. Now it's Jinga versus Yu. Pegasus is swallowed by the sand, but he won't give up. Jinga bets everything on his Star Blast attack. A massive explosion erupts, and Pegasus stops. Yu wins the tournament. His wish? To create the Battle Bladers. Yu's wish becomes a command. The Battle Bladers is born, the nation's biggest tournament to decide the #1 blader, but the celebration is cut short by a Dark Nebula helicopter. Doji steps out, announces he's sponsoring the event, and drops a bombshell. Yu is one of them. He also guarantees that no matter who enters, Ryuga will crush them all. Ryuga himself appears. El Drago roars. And Jinga wants to settle things right then and there, but Ryuga refuses. If he wants a rematch, he has to enter the Battle Bladers. Jinga ignores him, launches Pegasus, and El Drago swats it away like it's nothing. To make things worse, Doji sets the entry barrier, 50,000 Bay points. As the Dark Nebula leaves, their plan becomes clear. Use the tournament for El Drago to steal the power of the strongest bays and dominate the world. Yu's betrayal hurts, but it doesn't break the group. Kyoya, Kenta, and Benkei vow to farm points and help Jinga stop Ryuga. Before they go their separate ways, they have a friendly battle, and Pegasus descends from the sky with a Star Blast attack, knocking everyone down, just to remind them who's leading this war. The race for points begins. Benkei, Kenta, Hikaru, Kyoya, and Jinga rack up victories, with Madoka at the B-pit acting like an esports coach. In the middle of a forest, a group of point hunters surrounds Jinga. He accepts their challenge, but an eagle cuts through the sky. A mysterious blader appears, launches his bay, and wipes out the gang in a single strike, sending his eagle to chase them off. It's Tsubasa, owner of Earth Eagle. He knows about Jinga's mission against the Dark Nebula and decides to travel with him. Along the way, Tsubasa becomes a Beyblade Yoda, teaching Jinga to use all 5 senses, not just his eyes. In a tournament, the two make it to the finals. Tsubasa dominates but keeps offering advice like a problem is an opportunity. Jinga calms down, remembers the stream, predicts Eagle's movements, and when he's knocked into the air, he sees the perfect opening. He activates Pegasus's special move and turns the tables. Victory! Jinga realizes Tsubasa was just testing him and holding back. When confronted, Tsubasa denies everything and walks away, leaving a mystery in the air. Kyoya wanders through back alleys, bored of fighting weaklings. A gang shows up, and he dispatches them in a second. Then a rumor starts circulating about someone called Captain Kepri, a vigilante who saves people from bullies. From atop a building, the hero launches his Storm Capricorn, which begins to pursue Kyoya like a persistent drone, even invading his hotel room. Fed up, Kyoya enters a tournament just to hunt down the masked man. In the finals, Captain Kepri, who is actually a guy named Tobio, appears. He uses his sniper launch, but Kyoya had already binge-watched his battles on YouTube. With just a few moves, he disarms Capricorn and wins. Tobio promises they'll meet again in the Battle Bladers and, in a bizarre gesture, seals the promise by handing his rival a green lollipop. The Dark Nebula is hunting for strong opponents to power up Ryuga and focuses on a tournament worth 2,000 points. Doji and Yu watch from the VIP section. The arena becomes chaotic, with everyone launching at once. Konosuke tries to sweep the field, until a bay falls from the sky and wins with a single strike. It's Tsubasa, who also takes the opportunity to expose Konosuke as a Dark Nebula agent and humiliates him again. Jinga sees the news and has a flashback. Tsubasa fought him without using his full power. Shortly after, Tsubasa simply walks into the Dark Nebula's base as if he owns the place and offers to join their team. Doji decides to test the newcomer against Kumasuka's brothers in a 3-on-1 battle. Tsubasa wins with ease and immediately asks to fight Ryuga, but Yu steps in. First, he has to get through him. The duel is insane and ends in a draw, with Tsubasa remarking that he wasn't even fighting seriously. Doji accepts the recruit, but grumbles that he'll be docking his pay for the damage his move did to his expensive coat. Tsubasa's first mission with the Dark Nebula: spy on Jinga's crew. Yu is forced to tag along to test the targets. Jinga, fresh from a bizarre interview about hamburgers, learns of a tournament with 2 arenas, one in the forest and another by a stream. Kenta and Hyoma split up to gather more points. Yu intercepts Hyoma in the semi-finals and challenges him in an arena with rapids, trying to negate Libra's sand. But Yu's special move also protects his bay from the water. The strategy backfires, and Yu wins. On the other side, Kenta, who won his bracket, faces Tsubasa. The spy has already studied his opponent and dominates the fight, punishing Sagittario in the air. When Kenta is about to give up, Tsubasa yells that Sagittario hasn't surrendered yet, giving the kid a boost. Kenta fights back, but it's not enough. Tsubasa finishes him with Metal Wing Smash.
Metal Wing Smash!
Defeated, Kenta and Hyoma realize they need to get much stronger. At the base, Doji congratulates the pair. Yu asks for more missions, and Tsubasa kills the mood. He has no interest in playing with children. Madoka puts on her manager hat and checks the team's points. She's proud to see Jinga, Kenta, and Benkei climbing the ranks, and also celebrates the success of Kyoya and Hyoma. But one name sets off a red flag: Tetsuya. His score is rising way too fast, and something smells fishy. Her mechanic's intuition screams that there's foul play involved, shortcuts her friends would never take. While her team sweats it out to win with skill and honor, Tetsuya seems to be climbing the ladder through pure trickery, and Madoka decides she won't take her eyes off him. Kenta is excitedly giving an interview about his dream of reaching the Battle Bladers when Sora appears, a fanboy who calls himself Jinga's #1 apprentice. He challenges Kenta and tries to copy his idol's Star Blast attack. The result is a disaster. The move goes completely wrong. He loses badly, and his bay flies out of the arena. Later on the beach, Sora is training alone and tells his origin story. He saw Jinga use his special move and swears he received a look that was a call to action, like Batman seeing the bat signal. Kenta decides to help, passing on the advice he got from his friend: create your own move. The two enter a parkour-style tournament. Sora causes chaos, destroying obstacles instead of avoiding them. In the final challenge, they have to push a log up a waterfall. That's when Sora awakens his power: Avalanche Boost. He shatters the logs but messes up the landing and loses.
Avalanche move!
Still, he leaves inspired, vowing to train until he becomes a worthy rival for Kenta and Jinga. The WBBA announces a major challenge in Blintsville City, with a grand prize of 10,000 Bay points. Jinga arrives in the city and quickly runs into Kenta and Benkei. Shortly after, Hyoma, Hikaru, and Madoka show up, rounding out the crew. They start comparing their points, and Jinga is loaded, with a whopping 47,000. The group's reunion is cut short by the arrival of none other than Kyoya, who drops his classic line: "I don't need anyone's help to beat you, Jinga." Meanwhile, Tsubasa and Yu are sent by Doji to observe the tournament's strongest competitors. The group notices a commotion surrounding a fortune teller named Ryura Ro, who uses his Bay, Thermal Pisces, to perform magic. An angry blader, who had been previously tricked by him, challenges him to a battle. Ryura Ro wins by sending his opponent's Bay flying out of the stadium without ever making contact. It's pure sorcery. The tournament kicks off, and, to no one's surprise, Jinga's first opponent is none other than Ryura Ro. During the battle, the fortune teller uses a special move called Distortion Drive, creating a special space that disorients Jinga and causes Pegasus to veer away from Pisces. Madoka, our resident tech genius, analyzes the battle and figures it all out. It's not magic, it's science. Pisces' fusion wheel manipulates airflow, creating an invisible wall that directly affects Jinga. Realizing the trick, Jinga commands Pegasus to spin at maximum velocity, generating immense heat and creating a vacuum that negates the air pressure effect. With the trick shattered, Jinga finishes off Ryura Ro and wins the first round. Impressed, Ryura Ro admits that Jinga is a true blader, one capable of changing his own destiny. Jinga reunites with his friends and discovers his victory over Ryura Ro is already news. Kyoya Kiyoya and Hikaru head to the main stadium first. The rest hang back chatting until Benkei bumps into Yu. After apologizing, they recognize the kid, and right behind him is Tsubasa. Jinga tries to greet him, but is met with coldness. Yu delivers the message. Tsubasa is with the Dark Nebula now. The tournament begins. Tsubasa defeats Benkei without breaking a sweat and even shows off a new power. Yu defeats some random extra, looking bored. Hikaru and Kiyoya engage in an epic battle that ends with Kiyoya's victory. And even in defeat, Hikaru smiles when he says it was fun. Kenta faces the Soto brothers, Dan and Reiki, now powered up by the Dark Nebula. The duo attacks in sync, but Kenta confuses them by announcing generic attacks. They disagree on how to counter, and Kenta uses the opening to take them both down. High above the arena, Yu catches Tsubasa with a mysterious smirk on his face. What are his true intentions after all? The first round produces the finalists: Jinga, Kenta, Kiyoya, Kiyoma, Yu, and Tsubasa. Only the elite. While Kenta celebrates, Yu is grumbling, having to swallow his pride after losing to Tsubasa. Doji decides to stir the pot. The final will be a 6-way battle royale. They all launch at once, and there's only one target: Jinga. Tsubasa ignores his plan with Yu and goes after Pegasus. Kiyoya reminds everyone he's not just for show, and unleashes his King Lion tearing blast, scattering the field. Kiyoma and Kenta try to take down Libra, and Tsubasa teams up with Yu again to eliminate everyone except Pegasus. Tsubasa studies Hiyoma, finds his weakness to attacks from above, and finishes him with Metal Wing Smash. Kenta and Kiyoya team up against Yu, but Libra recovers. Yu tries to sweep the arena with Inferno Blast. The stadium becomes a showcase of special moves. Tsubasa counters, Kiyoya raises his wall, and Jinga creates a vacuum to cancel everything out. The explosion eliminates Libra, Ego, and Pegasus all at once. Only Kiyoya and Kenta remain. Kiyoya summons a tornado and sweeps Sagittario out of the arena. Victory for the Lion King, complete with a villainous smirk. The victory nets Kiyoya 10,000 points and a spot in the Battle Bladers, while Yu and Tsubasa continue to bicker. Eyeing Jinga's 48,000 points, Tatsuya concocts a cartoonishly evil plan to steal his pointer. Madoka warns that Pegasus's special move is unstable, and Jinga begins training. That's when Nigel Crabcakes appears, a supposed Brit, Tatsuya in disguise, who praises his collection, picks up Pegasus, and in a moment of carelessness, vanishes with the real pointer, leaving a fake one and distracting the group with an excuse about colorful flying crabs. The ruse is exposed when the fate pointer doesn't work, and Madoka unmasks the thief. Tetsuya flees and runs right into Phoenix, who takes the pointer for himself. The masked Blader confronts Jinga, telling him he doesn't deserve the points for fighting like a coward in the finals. He challenges him, wins easily, and smashes the pointer in front of everyone.
Burning fire strike!
Defeat means losing everything. Your will has weakened.
Remember that, Jinga. Your willpower is weakening.
The shock wakes Jinga up. He decides to start from scratch and vows not to lose again. Phoenix approves of his attitude and disappears. After getting thrashed and losing to the mysterious Phoenix, Jinga is clearly at rock bottom. But, as in any good hero's journey, just when you're at your lowest, someone new always shows up. And this time, it's a blader named Teru. This guy's backstory is basically the plot of a cheesy afternoon TV drama. Teru was a professional ballet dancer, the star of the stage, but his career came to a tragic and somewhat absurd end. A stage light fell and crushed his leg right in the middle of a performance, the end of the line for his plies and pirouettes. While recovering in the hospital, all banged up and unable to dance, he was given a Beyblade, Earth Virgo, which he treats as his beloved prima ballerina. It was also in the hospital that he saw Jinga battling on TV and was completely blown away, becoming an instant fan. Inspired by his new idol, Teru decides he wants to test his skills against Jinga himself. Our protagonist, still reeling from his defeat, accepts the challenge. The battle begins, and Earth Virgo moves with the grace of a ballerina, but it's not enough. Jinga shows why he's the real deal and in the end, emerges victorious. Even in victory, The battle serves to shake Jinga up and show him that he's an inspiration to other bladers, perhaps the very push he needed to get out of his funk. Ryuga travels the country like an infamous celebrity, collecting Bay points for his spot in Battle Bladers. In the crowd, Tsubasa and Yu watch his every move, but Tsubasa isn't there as a fan. He's investigating El Drago, piecing together the brutal defeat Jinga suffered and sizing up the threat. Doji, with his nose for trouble, senses an intruder and sends his cronies after him. Tsubasa takes them down as if it were a warm-up. The response to this audacity comes from the top of the food chain. Ryuga himself appears perfectly calm and invites him into the arena. The tension becomes crushing. From here on out, there's no warm-up, only an elite showdown. Ryuga and Tsubasa face off, and the battle begins mercilessly. El Drago overpowers Eagle, and Tsubasa is nearly sent to another dimension. At the last second, Phoenix appears like a movie hero and saves Tsubasa. Doji grinds his teeth and marks Phoenix as public enemy number 1. Meanwhile, Yu introduces the new recruits he's trained for Dark Nebula. Among them is Tobio, a base sniper with a single target in mind, Jinga. The duel takes place in an arena with moving walls. Tobio uses the environment like a pro marksman, calculating angles and ricochets to corner Pegasus. Forced to adapt under pressure, Jinga manages to turn the tables and wins, reminding the sniper that good aim alone, without a blader spirit, isn't enough to take down a protagonist. Kenta arrives in a town straight out of a western and finds an abandoned stadium. Two siblings, Kazuki and Yui, challenge him for points. He wins and discovers the place has been taken over by a guy named Busujima and his gang. Soon after, Sora faces Busujima himself and nearly wins, but one of the thugs throws a cup at his bay, causing a cheap shot defeat. Sora wants an immediate rematch, but Kenta convinces him to train first. The gang doesn't like this and goes on the offensive, destroying Kazuki's bay and kidnapping Yui. On the way to the stadium, the group is ambushed, and Kenta tells Sora to go on ahead. The rematch begins on a terrain soaked in oil. Sora's base slips uncontrollably, while Busujima's Rock Scorpio glides as if it were on a dance floor. Outside, Kenta and his friends are getting pummeled by multiple bays at once, until Jinga arrives like a whirlwind, taking everyone out with a single strike and putting out the fire, saving the day. Busujima tries to use Yui as a hostage, but Kenta informs him she's already safe. With no more tricks, Sora finally secures his victory and celebrates alongside the hero who inspired him. Kenta, Benkei, Hikaru, and Hyoma finally hit 50,000 points, punching their tickets to Battle Bladers. Benkei even taunts Kyoya, who just smirks. The celebration ends when Jinga drops the news. He's still 3,000 points short, and all qualifying tournaments are over. Kenta offers to give him his points, but Jinga refuses, wanting to earn his spot. Madoka finds one last tournament rescheduled for that very day, the final chance. On their way, Tsubasa appears and taunts the group. The team accuses him of being a Dark Nebula lackey, and to ensure Jinga doesn't miss registration, they agree. You go on ahead, we'll hold him off. As he fights, Tsubasa recalls what Phoenix said, that Jinga's power comes from his friends. Tsubasa bulldozes through Hikaru, Benkei, and Hyoma. Kenta loses too, but doesn't give up. He wagers all his points on a rematch, willing to throw away his own dream for his friend. Before the launch, Jinga's Pegasus cuts through the air and stops everything. He thanks Kenta but refuses the sacrifice. Tsubasa then asks the question that disarms him. How are your friends connected to your power? Phoenix appears and answers, you still don't get it, let me show you. And he challenges him right then and there. Jinga faces Phoenix again, with Tsubasa watching in silence. To prove he now understands his power, Jinga fights using lessons from his friends. He mounts a defense like Kyoya's Lion Gale Force Wall, dodges like Hyoma's Ares, and accelerates like Hikaru's Aquario. He lures Phoenix in for his ultimate move, but it's a trap. With his opponent's bay still in the air, Jinga unleashes Stormbringer, creating a vacuum that sucks in the flames and blasts his adversary against the rocks. Victory. Phoenix not only returns the 48,000 points, but also adds a bonus, rocketing Jinga to 95,000. For a second, Jinga thinks he recognizes the voice behind the mask, perhaps his father. But Phoenix vanishes without answers. Soon after, Tsubasa reappears and reveals the truth. He's a WBBA agent, sent undercover to stop El Drago. He asks to join the team. The group that once saw him as an enemy now welcomes him as an ally. The countdown to Battle Bladers begins in everyone's heart. The curtains open. Battle Bladers has begun. The Bladers Blader DJ introduces the 16 finalists, and Doji announces the tournament brackets, which read like a battle plan. Jinga's crew versus the Dark Nebula. Benkei kicks things off against Captain Kepri, and the sheer weight of his bull sends his rival flying out of the arena. Kenta faces off with Tetsuya, who barely begins his speech about hard work before he's taken down. Ryuroro easily gets past Teru. Then comes the most anticipated match of the night, Jinga versus Yu. Libra presses, Pegasus responds. Yu mocks him and blocks Star Blast attack with his sonic shield. Jinga tries Tornado Wing and fails. Annoyed by his rival's persistence, Yu unleashes Sonic Buster, creating a sandstorm. Even cornered, Pegasus doesn't fall. Yu launches his final move, Infernal Blast, to end it, and Jinga turns the tables with Stormbringer, nullifying the special move and knocking Libra out. Victory. Jinga reminds Yu about friendship and fun, and the boy finally understands. Backstage, Doji confers with his new ace, Reggie. It's time to unleash true terror. The tournament continues, and Kyoya wins with the authority of a Jungle King, his Lion Gale Force wall sweeping his opponent out of the arena. Tsubasa also dispatches his rival in seconds. Full of confidence, Hikaru declares that Ryuga will be no problem. Little does she know the abyss that awaits her. Meanwhile, Hyoma senses a venomous presence in the air. It's Reggie, his next opponent, watching him with the eyes of a snake. The battle begins. Reggie is a bizarre sight, hunched over, laughing to himself, and swaying like a predator about to strike. Hyoma attacks relentlessly, but his Ares can't even scratch Poison Serpent. The crowd grows bored, but Hyoma's friends realize it's pure psychological warfare. Reggie then shows his fangs and unleashes Serpent's poison. It's not just a victory. The move shatters Clay Ares to pieces. Hyoma falls to his knees, sobbing, and even refuses Jenga's help. Reggie just laughs, sadistically. To cap off the day with another knockout, Hikaru faces Ryuga. All her confidence evaporates at first glance. El Drago attacks with absurd force, knocking out her Bey in a single hit and cracking half the arena in the process. Seeing two friends fall so brutally, Jinga's fury boils over. Ryuga, impenetrable, simply says he can't wait for their battle. The war has become personal. The first round ends, and the Blader DJ announces the quarterfinal matchups: Kenta versus Benkei, Tsubasa versus Ryuroro, Jinga versus Reggie, and the main event, Ryuga versus Kyoya. As the arena is being repaired, we discover Dark Nebula's sinister plan. Force defeated Bladers to battle Ryuga so he can absorb their energy and grow even stronger. Yu, who lost to Jinga, refuses, saying Ryuga is his friend. Doji, a master of manipulation, offers a deal. If Yu can beat Reggie, he's free to go. In the empty stadium, the fight begins. Poison Serpent ignores Libra's attacks, wearing Yu down mercilessly. Ryuga appears just to watch. When a desperate Yu begs for help, his supposed friend turns his back and walks away. Betrayed and in tatters, Yu remembers the only one who ever treated him like a true friend, Jinga. With his heart on his sleeve and his body at its limit, he gathers his last ounce of energy, launches a desperate attack, and a colossal explosion engulfs the stadium. The dust settles, and the outcome is what everyone feared. Reggie won, but amidst the chaos, a battered Yu manages to escape, and even Doji admits the kid was brave. The next day, the villain messes with the match order just to destabilize Jinga and Kyoya, threatening to disqualify anyone who complains. The first duel is Kyoya versus Benkei. It's a respectful battle, but the Lion prevails and secures his spot in the semi-finals. Next up is Jinga versus Ryuroro. Before the duel, Doji pressures the Mystic. If he loses, his career is over. The fight is intense, but our hero's heart wins out, and Jinga takes the victory. Defeated, Ryuroro has a moment of clarity. El Drago is a threat that only Jinga can stop. He accepts his failure and serenely passes the torch to the redhead. Later, when Yu reunites with Kenta and Jinga, the mood plummets. He stumbles in, covered in injuries, barely able to stand. He collapses on the spot, a living portrait of the damage Dark Nebula is capable of. Blader DJ recaps the second round. Kyoya and Jinga are already in the semis. The next match is Reggie versus Kenta. Backstage, Yu comes clean. Ryuga acts like a soul sucker, draining the spirit of the Bladers he defeats. As proof, he shows his Libra, in ruins after the battle with Reggie. It's clear the psychopath has saved the worst for last. Jinga, Benkei, and Madoka are furious, but it's Kenta who takes up the flame. He borrows Yu's performance tip and marches to the ring. Doji rubs his hands together, planning to use Kenta's defeat to fuel Jinga's rage. The battle begins with Kenta saying that Beyblade is about having fun. Reggie laughs at this idealism. Sagittario attacks with the help of the new tip, but Serpent responds by breaking its claws one by one.
Please stop!
Right now, you are the same as that useless Bey.
Kenta then draws strength from his friends and speaks from the heart. For the first time, Reggie's mask cracks, revealing eyes of pure fury. He activates his venomous attack and wins. When he tries to crush Sagittario, Jinga leaps into the arena to prevent the tragedy. Doji announces the semifinal, Jinga versus Reggie. The crowd applauds Kenta's courage, the day's moral champion. With Jinga, Kyoya, and Reggie in the semis, the final spot is contested between Tsubasa and Ryuga. The comrade warrior isolates himself, studies his opponent, and forms a plan. In the stadium, Ryuga taunts him, "Without Phoenix to save you, you're lost." Tsubasa retorts that he will win with his own wings. El Drago attacks with devastating force, but Tsubasa uses the arena to his advantage, dodging blows and conserving energy. The crowd boos, but Kyoya, in his corner, recognizes the strategy as the only viable one against a monster. Tsubasa goads the dragon into using its full power. It's exactly what he wanted, activating his counter stance. He absorbs the dark onslaught and with the stored energy, pushes Ryuga back. For a moment, the impossible seems possible. Tsubasa advances in a storm of strikes until Ryuga unleashes his dirty trick and begins stealing Eagle's energy. Forced to fight seriously, Ryuga admits he was cornered, and for that, vows to crush him. Drained of strength, Tsubasa falls. Jinga clenches his fist and swears revenge, while Doji appears just to remind them that Yu still needs to be punished. Doji savors his victories as his diabolical plan takes shape. Blader DJ announces the Dream semifinals, Jinga versus Reggie and Kyoya versus Ryuga. Away from the spotlight, Yu goes to get a soda and walks into a trap. Doji kidnaps him. Kenta and Hyoma notice he's missing and begin a desperate search, just as Jinga faces Reggie in the stadium. The villain reveals his trick. He has reversed Serpent's spin axis, allowing it to deflect every attack. Meanwhile, in the corridors, Merci, the snitch of a computer, gives away Kenta and Hyoma's position. A gang of hooded figures surrounds the pair. Hyoma holds them off so Kenta can follow the trail. He finds Doji, who throws the truth in his face. To Dark Nebula, Yu was never a friend, just a battery. Dark Wolf threatens to drain Kenta's soul. Hyoma returns, but the wolf is merciless. With a last gasp, Kenta launches his already broken Sagittario. Just when all seems lost, a flame engulfs the wolf. From the shadows, Phoenix emerges. Doji turns pale. The cavalry has arrived. In the stadium, Jinga remains trapped in Reggie's chess game. Reggie finally reveals his trump card, Medusa, Serpent's attack mode. Madoka shouts not to look her in the eyes. Too late, Pegasus and Jinga begin to turn to stone and Reggie smiles, savoring the hero's terror. At the same time, Dark Wolf attacks, but Phoenix invokes the Blader's spirit to protect the boys. In the ring, Jinga confronts his fear head-on, the terror of not making it to the finals. By confessing this aloud, he breaks the curse, ignites Pegasus's heart, and turns the tables. Using Serpent's own reflection, he copies and returns the attacks, turning the spell against the sorcerer. In a final blow, it's Reggie who turns to stone. Guided by the Blader's spirit, Phoenix makes his bay rise from the ashes and shatters Dark Wolf. The structure shakes, the ceiling cracks. Phoenix grabs the boys and leaps, but a shard strikes his mask, breaking it. Jinga and Madoka arrive just in time to see the face behind the myth, and the shock in Jinga's eyes says it all. The mask falls, and the truth explodes in the stadium. Phoenix is Rio, Jinga's father. There are hugs, tears, and an urgent call, "Save you." The team storms the Dark Nebula headquarters and frees the boy, along with other prisoners who were about to become fuel for El Drago. On the way, they cross paths with Kyoya, who eyes Rio with suspicion. Reunited, Rio tells the whole story. Meteorites fell to Earth, one of them carrying a dark power that gave birth to Lightning El Drago, a weapon that feeds on hatred. To counter it, the ancients forged the Bay of Hope, Pegasus. Years later, the Dark Nebula attacked Jinga's village. Rio tried to stop Ryuga, failed, and before falling, entrusted Pegasus to his son. After being rescued, he became Phoenix to guide Jinga from the shadows. Friendship, his father says, will be the key to victory. Kyoya cuts the mood. Friendship doesn't win battles. He will take down Ryuga, and then Jinga, a weapon that feeds on hatred. Elsewhere, fate plays its cynical hand. Ryuga finds Doji, drains his energy, destroys what's left of Dark Wolf, and leaves him behind. The dragon is hungrier than ever. The time has come for the clash of Titans semi-final, Kyoya versus Ryuga. Kyoya takes a deep breath, remembering his rivalry with Jinga, and the promise burning in his chest, to defeat Ryuga to finally face his true rival. To his surprise, Jinga and his friends appear in the stands, hands, and they even share a nod of respect. Let it rip. El Drago shatters the stadium as if it were made of paper. Leone dances through the rubble, dodging the dark power. Madoka figures out the strategy. Kyoya wants to exhaust the dragon. He provokes Ryuga into fighting without stealing power. Ryuga accepts. The arena becomes a war zone, and the scales begin to tip in the lion's favor, until El Drago's spirit leaps from the bay and possesses its master. Ryuga goes feral. Kyoya doesn't back down. His King Lion tearing blast roars against the Dragon Emperor's soaring bite strike. The entire stadium collapses from the impact. When the dust settles, the silence is cut by pain. Kyoya has lost.
Playtime is over!
El Drago drains his energy, and Benkei collapses in tears beside his defeated friend. It was an epic and brutal battle. The air is heavy after Kyoya's fall. Ryuga then shamelessly reveals the truth. Battle Bladers was just a power form for El Drago, and Kyoya, Hikaru, and Tsubasa were the batteries in the process. Blinded by fury, Benkei attacks with Dark Bull but is swept from the arena in seconds. Ryuga sets the stage for the final duel. A special stadium, just the two of them, no audience. Leave. And everyone runs. Jinga feels crushed by the weight of responsibility, until his friends lift him up with simple, powerful words. With his heart ablaze, he ascends to the concrete skies of the Dark Nebula headquarters. Atop a stadium suspended between skyscrapers, Ryuga waits. The arena is dizzying. Storm Pegasus clashes with El Drago, and the dragon dominates. Jinga panics, until he discovers the fight is being broadcast to the entire country. Like a chorus, voices from all corners shout his name. The collective energy becomes a tidal wave. Pegasus charges back and turns the tables. Maddened, Ryuga fully succumbs to the monster. El Drago possesses his body and an unholy power erupts, threatening to swallow Pegasus whole. Rio explains, El Drago has absorbed so much power it has corrupted its master. It's now darkness versus light. El Drago versus Pegasus. In the eye of the storm, familiar voices echo in Jinga's mind. Kyoya, Hikaru, and Tsubasa appear as spirits, reminding him of the Blader's spirit. The roar of the crowd and this legacy ignite the hero's soul. But Jinga doesn't just want to defeat, he wants to save. He sees a prisoner behind the monster's fury. With the power of the Blader's spirit, Pegasus tears through the heavens, carries El Drago into space, and unleashes the ultimate move, Galaxy Nova. The two plummet back to Earth, and the world holds its breath. Jinga and Ryuga fall from the stadium. Pegasus cushions its Blader's fall, and Jinga, in a noble reflex, saves Ryuga. The human dragon returns to normal, picks up his cracked bay, and walks away in silence. Jinga is the champion, but Pegasus dissolves into light, resting its wings, as Rio says. The city erupts in celebration. 3, 2, 1, let it rip. The world's #1 Blader is born. A hurricane with a first and last name sweeps through Japan, Masamune. He crashes Yu and Tsubasa's battle, and his race striker, as fast as a flash, bulldozes Flame Libra. Arrogant and direct, he only wants one thing, to find Jinga. Upon learning the hero is in the mountains, he dashes off after him. In parallel, Rio takes over the WBBA with Hikaru as his secretary. Traumatized by her loss to Ryuga, she has decided to stay away from the stadiums, far from the city. Jinga, Madoka, Kenta, and Hyoma are chasing a legend, Galaxy Pegasus. Their journey takes them through deserts and glaciers to a cave hidden behind a waterfall. On the walls are ancient paintings. In the center, a bay is embedded in stone, like Excalibur. Kenta and Hyoma try, but can't pull it out. Jinga approaches, and the galaxy opens up to him. He reunites with the spirit of Pegasus, and with tears in his eyes, the blade leaps into his hands. A beam of light cuts through the sky. In its first test, the power is terrifying. A single launch reduces a stone pillar to dust. Before they can process it, Masamune appears on a cliff and challenges him on the spot. The makeshift arena is a hole in the ground. Galaxy Pegasus goes wild, shattering the walls and kicking up rocks that end up falling on itself. Striker prepares the final blow and Pegasus erupts in blue flames, pulverizes the rock, and sends its opponent flying. Masamune finds his bay in a river and returns, shivering from the cold, ready for another round. Jinga wins but doesn't feel victorious. He can't control Pegasus. Later, he reappears, challenging Jinga relentlessly. The result is always the same. Striker is sent flying, Pegasus causes destruction, destruction, and Jinga grows more frustrated. Kenta finds Masamune training alone in a warehouse, and the two make peace. In their planned rematch, Striker uses its flash speed, surrounds Pegasus, and buries it under a pile of rocks. Masamune wins. The defeat, however, clears Jinga's mind. He finally connects with Pegasus and asks for a rematch. Masamune refuses, satisfied. As the two argue, a Chinese blader watches them in silence. The rivalry devolves into a childish competition. Who can stand on their head the longest? Who can hold their breath longer? Benkei, Kenta, and Madoka can't believe their eyes. Suddenly, a gong sounds, and Mei Mei appears at the door with an invitation to Chinatown. The group gets lost in the alleys but arrives at a temple with 3 doors. From the main one emerge Mei Mei and Chiun with a surprise. There's no feast, it's a tag team battle. Jinga and Masamune versus the Chinese bladers. The two partners spend more time arguing with each other than fighting. Their bays collide while a highly coordinated Chiun repels everything thrown his way. Benkei complains about being hungry, and Chiun snaps his fingers. 2 chefs appear just for him. At the climax, Jinga and Masamune finally corner Thermal Lacerda, only for the dust to settle and reveal that it's Mei Mei's Aquario that's out of the arena. A victory for the Japanese duo despite the chaos. Even after winning, they go back to bickering. In another room, Ryo and Hikaru have an idea that will change everything. A Beyblade World Championship. The news breaks. The WBBA is holding the Beyblade World Championships. The Japanese qualifiers progress, and 4 names reach the semifinals. Masamune, Tsubasa, Yu, and Kiyoya. Yu can't wait to face Masamune, but the timer goes off, ending their battle. Kenta tells Jinga that having won Battle Bladers, he's already a representative for Japan. But Jinga won't accept a victory without a fight. He goes to his father and says he wants to earn a spot in the stadium. The first real semifinal takes place, Yu versus Masamune. Initially, Libra dictates the pace with refined technique, but Masamune is a hurricane. He ignores subtlety and goes for brute force, plowing through Yu's plan. An overwhelming victory, and a guaranteed spot as a representative of Japan. A devastated Yu still has a chance to join as a sub-member. Team Japan is beginning to take shape. With Yu defeated, the next showdown is Kiyoya versus Tsubasa. Before the match, both dive into intense training, their eyes like steel, ready to destroy each other. In the stadium, Kiyoya unleashes his lion's fury without mercy. Eagle lunges at Leone, not to defeat it, but to bury it in the arena, as if trying to drive it into the ground. The moment of terror lasts an eternity, but Kiyoya is a monster. He resists, reverses the flow of power, and ultimately wins the battle. Jinga rushes to congratulate him and invite him to the team, but the lion cools him with a curt roar. He only fought to prove what he's capable of and couldn't care less about any team. He turns his back and walks away, leaving behind an uncomfortable silence and a hole in Team Japan. Kiyoya's refusal weighs on Jinga's mind as the WBBA decides who gets the final spot, Tsubasa or Yu. At a diner, Yu complains that even if he beats Tsubasa, he'll only be a sub. Madoka arrives with a bombshell. The winner will be a full-fledged member. Instantly, Yu leaps for joy. Elsewhere, Tsubasa stares at his reflection, haunted by his loss of control against Kiyoya. The next day, the stadium becomes a laboratory. Yu launches his Libra with surgical precision. Tsubasa tries to block the special move, and Yu successfully executes it. But as Tsubasa prepares to counter, Yu reveals a card up his sleeve, changing the move's frequency. Instead of resisting, Tsubasa makes the boldest decision. He lowers his guard, lets the attack in, and uses the opening for a devastating counterattack. Tsubasa wins. Later at the airport, the team is christened Gen Gam Galaxy. Madoka becomes their official tech support. Yu boards as the sub-member, still a bit grumpy. The world tour begins. Team Gen Galaxy lands in China. Madoka suggests scouting their opponents, but the boys, of course, want to sightsee, with Masamune obsessed with finding a panda. Suddenly, the roar of battle cuts through the afternoon. They follow the sound and find Mei Mei teaching a lesson to thieves who stole bays from some kids. Acting as a local hero, she guides them to the temple of Team Wenghu Zhong. There, Chun and their leader, Deshan, welcome them. The place pulses with discipline and tradition. Deshan invites Jinga for a friendly training session. The exchange of blows is intense and honest, and the Chinese blader nearly deciphers Pegasus's secret, until Masamune, always in the wrong place at the wrong time, gets in the way and interrupts the duel, unintentionally saving his friend's trump card. Gen Galaxy departs, but with one certainty: the World Championships won't be a walk in the park, it will be a battle of honor. A message arrives from the WBBA with the World Championship rules. Masamune immediately immediately declares himself team captain, but Tsubasa shuts him down. They don't even know all the members of Wang Huzhong. Who is their leader? Yu asks. No one knows. To cool things down, Madoka tells everyone to take a break and goes to investigate at the temple herself. When she arrives, a surprise. Jinga is already there, talking to Chun about the team's mysterious third member. Meanwhile, around the city, Masamune finds a bay park and comes face to face with that very third member, Chao Shin, a rock star surrounded by a crowd of fans. The impulsive Japanese blader challenges him on the spot. The battle stage is nothing short of cinematic, the Great Wall of China. The fight is close down to the last spin, but Chao Shin wins by a razor-thin margin. A rivalry is born, one that promises to set the championship on fire. Defeated, Masamune isolates himself and trains until he can't stand, launching his striker against a pillar. A cry interrupts him. It's an old man who has fallen to the ground from hunger. He devours Masamune's entire stash of snacks and, satisfied, leads him to a bamboo forest. With the patience of a master, he teaches him to focus all his strength on a single point, using a simple bamboo leaf as a target. Meanwhile, Chao Shen enjoys his pop star life, but admits to himself that the first duel was anything but easy. The World Championships begin, and the first match is the rematch. Chao Shin reveals his custom bay, Poison Virgo. The clashes are brutal, but a now focused Masamune finds the flaw in the defense, breaks one of Virgo's blades, and throws his opponent off balance. Chao Shin takes off his jacket and gets serious, but it's too late. The victory goes to Masamune.
Go!
The crowd applauds the Chinese star for his grit, and Masamune scowls at losing the spotlight, but the message has been sent. He's here to win. The second round pits Chun against Tsubasa. The Chinese blader trains seriously while Jinga and Masamune devour plates of food, and Tsubasa sketches out strategies, haunted by the ghost of his loss of control. At the Let It Rip, Lacerda plants itself in the center and withstands the siege from Eagle, which circles like a bird of prey. Tsubasa attempts an aerial special move. Chun counters and throws him back. Then, the darkness descends. Tsubasa gives in to his own abyss and launches a blind, powerful, and self-destructive attack. In the final impact, Eagle flies out of the stadium. A self-inflicted knockout. Lacerda remains spinning. Chun wins. Tsubasa tastes the poison of his dark side and leaves the arena with the weight of someone who knows he lost to himself. The day of the final match of the first stage of the World Championships has arrived. Gengen Galaxy versus Wen Huzhong. In the locker room, the mood is one of complete confidence in Jinga, while Tsubasa tries to banish the shadow of his last fight with the support of his friends. On the other side, Chun blames himself for the previous victory, but Deshawn cuts the drama short with a leader's speech. A win is a win. Learn from it and move on. On the way to the arena, bladers from the Bailin Temple surround Gengen Galaxy, boasting that 4,000 years of tradition guarantee Deshawn's victory. Jinga doesn't back down. He accepts the challenge and enters the field with the lesson from his last defeat in mind. The strategy is bold. Light attacks to prevent Zarafa's rubber from absorbing the impact. Deshawn catches on and responds with a special move that nearly extinguishes Pegasus. Jinga's confidence wavers, but from the stands comes the cry of Kenta, Benkei, and Kyoya, reigniting his fire. In the final collision, an explosion blankets the arena. When the dust settles, Zarafa has stopped. Pegasus wins. Deshawn feels the weight of breaking tradition, but his team embraces him. The tradition lives on. Gengen Galaxy celebrates. Next stop, Russia. Gengen Galaxy lands in Arabia to watch Desert Blaze versus Team Excalibur. They meet Julian, the aristocratic leader of Excalibur and owner of Gravity Destroyer, a bay that can spin both right and left. Between scenes of the young millionaire and helicopters and limousines, Jinga carries the promise he made to Deshawn to win the world title in honor of Bailin Temple. Desert Blaze, led by Gasur, welcomes Gengen Galaxy with camaraderie, but the good vibes evaporate when the battle begins. Excalibur enters with just one blader, Julian, alone. In the first round, Gasur attacks relentlessly, but Destroyer isn't even scratched. Its defense is an impenetrable helmet. Julian invokes the legend of Perseus and activates counterattack mode. Red points like Medusa's eyes glow, and Gasur's bay falls. In the second round, the other two face Julian, and his master stroke is revealed. Destroyer switches to left spin. In a few moves, Julian sweeps the entire Desert Blaze team. Jinga watches in silence, understanding he has just met the tournament's final boss. Aboard a train to Russia, Jinga and Mas Masamune's boredom ends when they see Madoka charmed by a scientist named Alexei. Little do they know he's the leader of the Russian team, there to steal data on their base. At night, the train becomes an arena. Alexei appears with Noah Guma and Lyra of Team Lavushka, all dressed as astronauts. Lavushka loses on purpose, collecting data while Yu complains of boredom, and Lyra gets annoyed at the accusation of a fixed match. While everyone is distracted, Alexei downloads Madoka's hard drive, who falls for the spy Casanova trick. To make matters worse, Jinga catches a cold and loses his sense of smell. Anton, the Russian team's boss, sets a trap with burgers to lure Jinga, but it's Masamune who follows the scent and boards the wrong train. In the morning, the team arrives at the arena without Masamune and discovers their opponents, Alexei, Lyra, and Noah Guma. Madoka's world crumbles when she realizes the scientist's betrayal. Meanwhile, Masamune wakes up at a tropical resort and screams, "Where am I?" Anton sifts through the stolen data from Madoka's computer, while Gen Galaxy tries to contact Masamune, who has vanished into the mountains. The WBBA offers no help, and Alexei appears with the perfect bait. The tournament prize is a space shuttle. Winning now means touching the sky. Without Masamune, Jinga opens the round against Noah Guma in his steel cage, a Beyblade UFC. He tries his Star Booster attack, but the cage sabotates the plan. Anton activates an electric field to lock Pegasus in place, and Rock Orso begins to smash it against the arena. Just when all seems lost, Pegasus absorbs Orso's energy, engulfs the cage itself, shatters the structure, and unleashes a devastating Star Booster attack, crushing Rock Orso against the bars. A hard-fought victory. Elsewhere, a friendly pilot drops Masamune off at a train station. Will he make it in time? With Masamune still missing, Gen Galaxy must choose the next to fight. Tsubasa steps aside and lets Yu take the arena against Alexei. On his way back, Masamune finally finds Anton operating the same electromagnetic waves that sabotage Jinga and goes after him, cutting off the cheating at the source. Without interference, Yu shines in the arena and defeats Alexei, sealing the victory for Gen Galaxy.
Libra! Go hard!
Team Lavushka secures their sponsors, but their first act is to kick Anton to the curb. The rivalry turns into mutual respect as they part ways. Shortly after, Masamune reunites with the team. They're whole again. In Greece for the Festival of Warriors, Madoka wants to sightsee and drags the team to the beach, where they rush to save a girl on a cliff. She's not falling. She wants to be an archaeologist and uses her Beyblade to move the water and reveal a sunken Greek ship. Later at a restaurant, a Brit challenges Wales. He accepts and warns, 3 seconds of my time. True to his word, the opponent's bay turns to dust. When they try to enter the festival, Gen Galaxy is stopped, but they peek through a crack. Jinga pushes Masamune, and they all tumble inside, caught red-handed. After dispatching some local bladers, Wales and Sophie, the girl from the beach, appear for a challenge. Julian enters the scene, and the battle becomes a 3-on-3. Julian, Sophie, and Wales versus Jinga, Masamune, and Yu. The EU team introduces itself, England, France, and Italy. Their strategy is to protect Gravity Destroyer. Yu insists on using his special moves and is easily defeated by Sophie. In a dual attack, Sophie and Wales apply pressure. Masamune sacrifices himself to clear a path for Jinga, but Julian takes them both down, showcasing overwhelming power. After the beating from the EU team, the group decides to practice teamwork. The pairings were supposed to be decided by rock, paper, scissors, which results in 7 consecutive ties. Madoka loses her patience and settles it with straws. Jinga and Yu versus Tsubasa and Masamune. The training is meant to be a team effort but turns into a battle royale of egos. The bickering escalates and Madoka explodes. She's dissolving the team. Not even juice in a fruit basket can fix it. Who shows up to save the day? Team Wenhu Zhang. Deshawn senses the tense atmosphere. Chaoxin calms the beast, and they demonstrate true sync with a circus-like acrobatic feat, a human tower on top of a ball. The training takes shape, ankles tied together and tag team battles. The lesson finally sinks in. In the final training battle, all 8 unleash their special moves at once, and every bay stops spinning. Madoka reveals their next challenge, the winner of Team Chendora versus Wild Fang. Deshawn issues a warning. Wild Fang's leader uses a leon and fights like a true lion. Gen Galaxy is relaxing until Madoka reveals their next opponent, Team Wild Fang. The shock comes with their leader's name, Kyoya. In the desert, a cloaked figure drags a coffin, provokes some bullies without a word, and when the coffin falls, it it's just filled with rocks. The figure appears behind them and takes them out in a blur of motion. It's Kyoya. He enters a tournament to form the African representative team, a group-based battle royale. With his King Lion tearing blast, he clears the stadium in a single gust. Nile also crushes his bracket. The three winners are Kyoya, Nile, and Marcus. The catch? They must defend their winners' bracelets for 24 hours. Anyone can challenge them. Marcus panics and flees. Kyoya and Nile team up and face waves of challengers until Nile is ambushed. Leon saves him at the last second. Marcus convinces them to hide in a bunker. It's a trap. They plummet, and his cronies steal their bracelets. In the sewers, Demuri finds them. He challenges them, hears their story, and with his eagle-like vision, guides the two to Marcus. In a battle of wits, Demure's analysis secures their comeback. With the bracelets recovered, Kyoya tosses the third one to Demure. Team Wildfang is formed. Screaming from a nightmare, Jinga wakes up Masamune, who swears he could beat Kyoya in one hit. In Japan, Kenta rushes to watch Team Chendora versus Team Wildfang for a spot in the A-Block finals. Ryo explains the match's importance. The press conference begins without Wildfang. Only Benkei appears, disguised as the masked bull, and the Indian crowd boos the absent team. In the stadium, Nile steamrolls Chendora's first blader with his special move. Next, Kyoya faces Solhen. He raises his Lion Gale force wall, and although Solhen tries to counter with his own special move, Kyoya wins with ease. Team Wildfang is victorious. Ignoring the celebration, Kyoya faces the camera and sends a message to Jinga. You're the only one who can rival me. The challenge is on Gen Gen Galaxy versus Wildfang in Japan for a spot in the A-Block finals. Back in Japan, Gen Gen Galaxy faces Team Wildfang in front of a home crowd. The first match pits Masamune against Nio, and it's a blowout. Vulcan Horoseus 145D runs over Striker like a bulldozer. Masamune tries, he persists, but he has no answer. He is mercilessly defeated, giving Wildfang the lead and leaving Gen Gen Galaxy with the task of mounting a comeback. It's time for the main event, Jinga versus Kyoya. The team's future hinges on this duel. The stadium becomes a battlefield, with special moves flying through the air. A flashback reveals Kyoya's brutal training in Storm Valley, where he forges a devastating new special move. Back in the present, both bladers push their limits, the stadium shakes, and neither gives an inch. As the crowd holds its breath, waiting for a winner, both bays stop at the exact same time. It's a draw. Everything will be decided in the next battle. Exhausted, Jinga and Kyoya collapse after their draw. The Blader DJ announces the final tiebreaker, Tsubasa versus Demure. Benkei appears and Yu jumps from the crowd declaring himself Tsubasa's partner. It becomes a tag team battle. Gen Gen Galaxy starts strong, but Demure reads Earth Eagle like an open book and alongside Benkei turns the tables. Under pressure, Tsubasa collapses and his dark side awakens. The Eagle Beast becomes a shadowy entity and Tsubasa attacks everything, even Yu's own bay. Out of control, he sweeps the other bays from the stadium and destroys part of the arena. It's a win for Gen Gen Galaxy, but the team is shaken. Tsubasa falls unconscious, leaving fear and destruction in his wake. With the score tied, the WBBA rules that a final team battle will decide the winner. Jinga and Kyoya can barely stand. Their bays patched up, but both insist they will fight. Masamune and Nile stay focused, understanding this is the moment of truth. Then, Masamune has a flash of inspiration and coordinates a final combo attack with Jinga. 4 special moves collide in the center of the stadium in a deafening flash of light. When the smoke clears, 3 bays have stopped. The one still spinning, steady and strong, is Striker. Gen Gen Galaxy wins. In a post-credits rivalry moment, Kyoya confronts Jinga and declares, "Win this championship, because I'm the only one who has the right to defeat you." On a call with Wen Huzhong, Gen Gen Galaxy cheers for their friends against Team Excalibur, until Yu blurts out with no filter that they'll probably lose. The focus then shifts to Tsubasa in the hospital. He wakes from a nightmare. A dark force takes his form and whispers that it will steal his body. Only he can see his double in the window's reflection. A sharp pain shoots through his chest, and he smashes the window. Ryo from the WBBA shows him the file. During his battle with Ryuga, a fragment element of El Drago's dark power infected Tsubasa and is now growing. For safety reasons, he is cut from the team. Outraged, Yu quits in solidarity. In France, the qualifier repechage begins. Chao Xin and Mei Mei face Sophie and Wales. Wang Huzhong has a good start, but Julian's smirk signals a comeback. Teen Excalibur defeats the duo, and from the top of the Eiffel Tower, a mysterious figure watches. Jinga and his team follow the tournament, as does Tsubasa from his hospital bed. It's Chiun versus Klaus. A quick flash reveals Chiun's meeting with Deshawn at the Bailin Temple, but nostalgia doesn't win battles. Klaus's Grand Capricorn is a fortress, neutralizing every attack and overwhelming his opponent. With this loss, Wang Huzhong is out of the World Championships. Feeling the call of darkness burning at his chest again, Tsubasa flees the hospital. Elsewhere, Hyoma finds Ryuga training alone with a new and even more menacing El Drago. Everyone is looking for Tsubasa. Even his own eagle can't find him. Team Excalibur returns home, laying on the charm. Wales and Sophie celebrate their victory, but Julian reminds them that Jinga and Masamune nearly broke their defense. In a training session, Wales and Sophie defeat Klaus, still fuming that Masamune broke through their special move. Klaus, in turn, wants a piece of Masamune. After 5 days missing, Tsubasa appears in a forest and challenges Julian. Before the duel can begin, Wales and Sophie attack, and the dark power consumes Tsubasa, who destroys their base. Ryuga shows up nonchalantly and states bluntly, that feeling is just a fragment of El Drago's power. He reveals Mirio El Drago, the pure version, and advises Tsubasa not to fight the darkness, but to merge with it. The tension builds as Ryuga calls Julian's destroyer a plaything. The clash of titans has been set. Gen Galaxy arrives in Italy for the A Block finals, without Tsubasa, lying to reporters that everything is fine. On the way, they run into Ryuga, with an unconscious Tsubasa beside him. Ryuga challenges Jinga, who tells the team to get Tsubasa to the stadium while he settles this score. The show begins. Team Excalibur versus Gen Galaxy. The first duel is Masamune versus Klaus. Masamune enters overconfident while Madoka tends to Tsubasa backstage. In the stadium, the exchange is brutal. Klaus unleashes steel darkness, and Masamune responds with lightning sword flash. The explosion seems to favor Striker, but Klaus endures, catches Masamune off guard, and turns the tables at the last second. Striker falls. Lesson learned. Confidence alone doesn't win. Meanwhile, Jinga and Ryuga clash in a battle of titans. Pegasus versus El Drago. The first round ends with Klaus victorious, and collapsing from exhaustion. The pressure falls on the second match. Tsubasa and Yu versus Wales and Sophie. Meanwhile, Jinga faces an uncomfortable truth. Ryuga reveals he has rid himself of the dark power. Mirio El Drago absorbs energy through sheer force, while Jinga has yet to master Pegasus's full power. In the main arena, Tsubasa's past resurfaces, a childhood loss due to cheating. The darkness takes over, and he begins attacking everything, including his own partner. In a courageous act, Yu attacks Eagle to snap him out of it. Tsubasa confronts his demons, remembering the baby eagle he once cared for, and the rematch he honorably won, and breaks free from the darkness. He unleashes his shining tornado buster, and takes down both Cetus Bays at once. The score is tied. Outside, Ryuga gives Jinga one final lesson, frees Pegasus from the sand, and says there's only room for one reverse rotation bay in this world. In other words, get stronger and beat Julian. And with that, he leaves. The A Block final has arrived. Jinga versus Julian. With Ryuga's lesson in mind, Jinga faces Gravity Destroyer, a dual spin bay as dangerous as El Drago. Julian wants victory, and to send a message to Ryuga, his destroyer is superior. He summons the Eyes of Medusa to trap Pegasus and win with a sleep out, but Jinga counters by using his rubber tip and opposite spin direction to boost his speed, defy gravity, and land a direct hit. Julian raises the Black Excalibur to block the Star Booster attack, and that's when it clicks for Jinga. The secret isn't brute force, it's complete trust in his bay. Uniting with Pegasus, he creates the Stardust Driver, which shatters Destroyer's defense and sends it flying out of the stadium. Jinga is victorious. Gen Galaxy wins the A Block finals and punches their ticket to the final tournament alongside Team Excalibur. With their victory secured, Gen Galaxy boards a cruise ship bound for Brazil to face Team Garcia. While a Brazilian DJ sets the mood on board, they learn the battle will be in Rio de Janeiro, in a custom-built stadium. The plan is simple: relax during the trip and investigate upon arrival. Across the ocean, the Garcias watch hours of footage, focusing on Gen Galaxy. They acknowledge the Japanese team's strength, but Argo Garcia, the leader, contemptuously turns off the TV and guarantees they will crush their opponents. When they disembark, a surprise awaits. Kenta has come to cheer them on. The group celebrates at a restaurant, then crosses the city in a van, passing by kids battling in the streets, and receives a warning from the driver about an area that's dangerous to cross. At the building where they'll study their rivals, Kenta plays a low-quality videotape showing Team Garcia winning with a small trick almost effortlessly. He figures it out. They're hiding their true strength to surprise Gen Galaxy. Bored, Yugo's looking for a real fight and walks right into an ambush set by the Garcias themselves. To top it off, Masamune sees a familiar face on TV, his old friend, Zio Abyss. Keen Garcia's ambush takes its toll immediately. Yu is beaten up, and Jinga and the crew take care of him. The next day, the hosts arrive and impose a new rule, a 4v4 battle with immediate substitutions, where the first team to score the most wins is the victor. Yu goes first, facing Enzo, and gets an earful. For the Garcias, Beyblade is life. For Yu, it's just a game. Enzo unleashes Slumdog Driver. Yu counters with Infernal Blast, and it goes badly. Yu's Bey cracks, shatters, and he suffers a crushing defeat. Masamune jumps into the stadium to avenge his friend and quickly takes out Enzo with his lightning sword flash. But Selan is up next. She uses mind games, throws Masamune off his focus, and turns the score around. The mood grows tense, and now it's Jinga's turn to try and tie things up. Jinga goes after Selan, but her Ray Gasher is slippery, evading every attack. After relentless pressure, Galaxy Pegasus starts landing hits and draining its stamina. The crowd is already celebrating, until Selan declares she's never lost by a stadium out. Jinga promises to be the first, earning boos from the audience. He speeds up to knock Gasher out, and she dodges again. Her philosophy is clear. If you can't win, don't fight. She spent her life running for her brothers, and knows how to conserve energy. In a counterattack, Pegasus slows Gasher down, and Jinga prepares the final blow. But Selan simply picks up her own Bey and forfeits, preserving her record. Jinga feels like he's been played. With no time to breathe, a cyclone battle against Ion begins. The stadium has spots that spin like tornadoes, which Cyclone Herculeo dominates. Pegasus takes a beating until Jinga figures out the timing, steals a cyclone point, and wins with his Star Booster attack, destroying the vortex itself. But during his celebration, Argo's Bey enters and knocks out Pegasus out of nowhere. He announces, "It was an elimination match with no breaks. You hesitate, you lose." Jinga's victory vanishes, and Argo mocks him for letting his guard down. Tsubasa confidently takes his place, thinking that after overcoming his darkness, this will be easy, but Ray Gill is a nightmare. Its rubber performance tip unleashes a relentless barrage of attacks, and its energy ring blocks any aerial assault, a perfect counter. Argo provokes him, prodding at Tsubasa's darkness, and the memory of the Garcia's pain mixes with his own past struggle against El Drago's dark power. His friends' voices pull Tsubasa back. He finds an opening between the fusion wheel and the performance tip, and, with his shining tornado buster, knocks Argo out. Gen Galaxy is in the finals. Furious, Argo swears revenge. Elsewhere, Ryuga is surrounded by 5 mysterious figures. He launches Mirio El Drago with his hand, absorbs their spin, and wipes them all out at once. A new figure appears, and he smiles. Finally, someone interesting. The team lands in New York, and Masamune dashes through the city looking for Toby. He learns at the dungeon gym from Coach Steele that Zio Abyss transferred his friend and no one knows where he went. He opens up about his past with Toby and Zio, and as if summoned, Zio appears. He takes them to their old training ground, says he's been at the HD Academy, gives them the new address for Toby's hospital, and proposes a battle for old time's sake. His Flame Bixus is incredibly tall, making its fusion wheel almost untouchable, but Ray Striker still manages to land hits. Just as they're about to unleash their special moves, they stop. The real battle will wait until Toby can watch. Back at the dungeon, they have some friendly matches with the local bladers, but alone, Zio watches from the shadows and whispers that he'll never forgive Masamune. The friendship, we discover, was just a facade. We go back in time. Newly arrived from Japan, all Masamune wanted was to battle until he found a gym and met Zio and Toby. They agree to go to a new Bay Park the next day. Toby is late, and Team Goldbank shows up looking for trouble. Vince battles Masamune and his goons jump in to break Striker. Zio tries to save his friend and is knocked down. Finally, Toby arrives and sets up an official rematch at the local tournament. We cut to the finals. Masamune is faltering, but Toby reminds him of their goal to become number 1. With his friend's encouragement, Masamune makes a comeback and defeats Vince. In the present, he tells Toby to cheer for whoever he wants. The winner will be challenged for the title of number 1. Jinga and the group, however, are left with the same question. How did Zio get so strong? And why did he join the HD Academy? Zio is training hard when he's ordered back to the HD Academy. Meanwhile, Jinga, Masamune, and Kenta storm the dungeon gym and turn it into a battle zone, while Madoka, Tsubasa, and Yu work in the workshop repairing Flame Libra and Earth Eagle. At HD Academy, Ryuga trains against multiple bays at once, launching by hand, stealing their spin, and humiliating everyone. Dr. Ziggurat wants to study his power to enhance the arrangement system. Zio arrives, demanding a fair fight with Ryuga, blaming both him and Jinga for Masamune leaving. In the duel, Flame Vixus's height prevents El Drago from stealing its spin, and for a moment, Zio controls the fight until Ryuga turns the tables, smashes Vixus against the stadium floor, and finishes it with Dragon Emperor Supreme Flight. Ziggurat then reveals everything. He was the owner of the Dark Nebula. He sent Ryuga to Koma Village to find El Drago, failed to control the darkness, created the arrangement system because of that failure, and only brought Ryuga here to observe him. Ryuga blows up the room and leaves. Ziggurat vows he won't escape. Zio suffers through the arrangement system as Ziggurat hammers it in. Endure the pain if you want to save Toby. Screaming his friend's name, he holds on until 80%, and Ziggurat sends him to hunt down Ryuga. At the stadium, Jinga is testing Tsubasa's and Yu's repaired bays when Masamune spots Zio and runs after him with Jinga. They find Ryuga surrounded by HD bladers, led by Zio. Masamune tries to talk to him, but Zio explodes. He's tired of living in his shadow and challenges him. Zio's strength is terrifying. Ryuga confirms it's from the arrangement system, dispatches the other bladers in an instant, warns Jinga to keep an eye on the US team, and vanishes. Vixus pummels Striker until Jinga steps in. Then Zio drops the truth. Toby's illness worsened after Masamune's tournament match, and he joined HD Academy because Ziggurat promised him a better hospital. Elsewhere, Damien completes the arrangement, finds Tsubasa and Yu, introduces himself as a member of Team Starbreaker, and, while testing his Hades Kerbex, destroys both their bays. Feeling Damien's full power, Zio ends his battle and promises to take Masamune down in the finals. Jinga returns to find his friends on the ground and vows that Starbreaker will pay. Tsubasa and Yu are hospitalized and out of the finals. The culprit? Damien of Team Starbreaker. Jinga remembers Ryuga's warning about them. Ryo from the WBBA calls, saying he's considering suspending the American team, but Jinga refuses. He wants to settle this in the stadium. Ryo agrees and says he'll arrange for a substitute, while Jinga and Masamune promise to fight for their friends. At HD Academy, Ziggurat tortures Zio for failing to capture Ryuga, but brings good news. Evil Befall is ready, and he's giving it to Jack, a maniacal artist. In the B-Block final, Team Excalibur versus Starbreaker, Klaus faces Jack. Klaus rips his shirt, going all out, but Befall seems invincible, with eternal stamina, slicing up the arena. They trade special moves, the explosion clears, and Klaus's bay is stopped and scratched. Klaus himself collapses. Jack wins and names his masterpiece the Pitiful Little Goat, laughing hysterically. Klaus is sent to the hospital. Julian steps up against Damien, who proposes a best-of-3 match. Gravity Destroyer can spin right and left. Julian accepts, and Ziggurat rubs his hands together. He's needed left spin data since Ryuga escaped. Round 1 is a cakewalk. Hades Kerbex dominates, Gravity Brave can't make a scratch, and Hades Drive finishes it. In the second round, Julian switches to left spin, becomes more aggressive, and unleashes Gravity Brave and Black Excalibur. Damien, prepared, switches Kerbex to full defense mode and neutralizes everything. Destroyer begins to be torn apart, and to save their friend, Wales and Sophie jump in, risking disqualification. In the 3-on-1, Damien opens the Hades gate, chains emerge, pull in all 3 bays, and Kerbex bites down on Destroyer, spitting fire. It's a total defeat. To humiliate him further, Damien forces Julian to say, "I am weak," and laughs at his suffering. With Tsubasa and Yu out, Dengen Galaxy needs a substitute. Jinga thinks of Tioya, but no one knows where he is. Kenta offers himself. When Hujong shows up with steamed buns and the same offer, one of them will join. They decide to settle it the right way, with a battle. Jinga and Masamune can't resist and jump into the arena, to Madoka's despair. Amid the chaos, Phoenix appears, takes them all down with a single move, and reveals himself. It's Ryo, Jinga's father. He declares himself the new team member, until Hikaru points out that, as the director of the WBBA, he's not allowed by the rules. Kenta and Wen Hujong can't join either, as they've already competed. When all seems lost, Blader DJ and the American DJ have a duel to see who will announce the finals. Their bays barely spin. They commentate as if it's an an epic clash, and it ends in a draw.
The bays finally clash head-on!
Nothing has happened.
We can see everything fine.
They'll announce together the outcome. Jinga and Masamune realize they'll have to compete without a substitute. Zio and Ziggurat visit Toby in the hospital, and the villain blackmails him. If Zio loses the final, he'll cut off the treatment. On the other side, Jinga promises Tsubasa and Yu that he'll win for them. In the lab, Zio enters the arrangement system, endures it up to 92%, and collapses as Ziggurat reinforces his threat. At the stadium, Jinga wants to face Zio, but Masamune steps in. He needs to understand his friend's rage. The battle begins. Bixis activates Destiny Needle, controlling Striker and nearly knocking it out. Masamune saves himself, declaring he'll win for Toby, and Zio snaps, presses a button on his belt, and powers up. Masamune readies Lightning Sword Flash, but freezes when he hears the truth. If Zio loses, Toby will die. With the arrangement at 100%, Zio unleashes Magnetic Needle Storm, sending Striker flying and winning the match, before collapsing unconscious. Somewhere, Ryuga walks toward the city. In the locker room, Masamune has a broken arm and begs Jinga to win the 2 remaining matches. But just as the second battle is about to start, Mirio L. Drago crashes into the stadium. Ryuga challenges Jack, replacing Jinga through a loophole in the rules as a last-minute alternate member. Jinga trusts him. Kiyoya and Benkei question his motives. Jack attacks relentlessly, launching Befall's Ripper out and drawing a giant peacock, finishing with Beautiful Death, which turns El Drago into the peacock's eye. It looks like the end, but it was all an act. Ryuga let the artist paint his picture while absorbing all the power. Calling Jack a caged bird, he unleashes Dragon Emperor's supreme flight, annihilating Befall and destroying the arena. Ziggurat is thrilled with the data from El Drago, until Ryuga slams his bay into the observation window, cutting his face. Before leaving, he warns Jinga, "You are forbidden from losing to these artificial bladers." Ryuga's help leaves everyone confused, but Jinga understands. He just wanted to crush his own target. Ryo and Hikaru expose the dirty secrets. A list of bladers who vanished and returned superpowered after going through HD Academy. The owner is Dr. Ziggurat of Hades Inc., who arranges bladers and extracts their power. Those who can't handle it are discarded. The 3 who endured became Team Starbreaker. Masamune connects the dots with Zio and Toby. Ryo reveals Ziggurat was behind the Dark Nebula and wants revenge, using Jinga as the perfect test subject. The final opponent, Damien, an enigma. The battle begins. Galaxy Pegasus can't even scratch Hades' Kerbex. For a moment, Kerbex loses its balance, but it recovers and hits back twice as hard. Damien says his bay was custom made by scientists, and when Jinga asks him about having fun, he simply replies that he doesn't know what that is, and activates Hades Drive, asking if Jinga feels weak yet. Hades Drive traps Pegasus in a sea of flames. Jinga remembers his bay's first call, reignites his spirit, and attempts Stormbringer, but Kerbex deflects it, sending him flying. Damien then opens the Hades Gate, a portal to the underworld, pulling both Jinga and Pegasus in. Inside, chains bind them as Damien declares that a blader's spirit is weak against science. He recalls being a boy who went to HD Academy, where Ziggurat gave him a bay programmed to win. Jinga, however, screams, shatters the chains with Pegasus, and keeps fighting even as he falls into lava. Trapped again, he breaks free by force and escapes the Hades Gate. In the climax, Stardust Driver clashes with Hades Gate. The collision is brutal. Pegasus shatters the gate. The stadium is reduced to dust. Kerbex stops spinning. And Gen Gen Galaxy are the world champions. The crowd goes wild. Kiyoya is puzzled by Ryuga's help. Ryuga himself vanishes from the rooftop. Damien faints, and Ziggurat insists they are the true winners. Far away, Toby lies in a machine, ready for his final treatment. The victory party starts off quiet, with just Ryo and Hikaru, until their friends arrive and a soda fight livens things up. The celebration is cut short by a helicopter. Ziggurat descends with Starbreaker, the Garcias, and even Julian. He reveals his plan. The World Championships were a front for his research. He will use Beyblades as an energy source, the Spiral Force, by training bladers and collecting data to create the ultimate Bey Twisted Tempo, controlled by Faust. The shock. Faust is Toby. Zio is devastated, as Ziggurat claims he cured his friend via the arrangement system. As proof, Faust launches Tempo and obliterates a mountain, a forest, and a lake. Jinga and Masamune try to stop him, but the Garcias, now on his payroll, block their path. And even Julian is on the villain's side. A city-wide battle breaks out. Jinga faces Damien and Jack. Masamune and Deshawn hold off Julian and Argo. Several other bladers join the fight. When Damien opens Hades Gate, Kiyoya appears and blocks it with his True Lion Gale Force wall. The villains retreat.
What? Ah!
Julia says he only came because Ryuga helped, and Masamune vows to rescue Toby. At the WBBA, Ryo forbids the hunt for Ziggurat. Leave it to the adults. Hikaru reminds him that legally, nothing can be done, since Hades Inc. has committed no crime. Ryo relents and authorizes the mission. Wales, Sophie, and Klaus of Team Excalibur join them, defying Julian. Madoka stays behind for unfinished business. In Hades City, Zio confronts Ziggurat for turning Toby into an automaton. The villain retorts that he gave him a new body and orders him seized. On their way to the city, the Garcias trigger a landslide, separating the group. While the battle rages, Madoka finishes her secret task. She's repaired Tsubasa's and Yu's bays. Ryo reports that Hades City has taken off, becoming a flying fortress. Kyoya gets enraged, sweeps through the enemies declaring it's a mistake to try and cage a lion, and everyone rushes toward the city in the sky. Argo tries to block Jinga, but Tsubasa appears, destroys his bay in one hit, and along with Yu and Madoka in a truck, gives them a ride to the structure. In the end, 8 bladers hang on to the city as it ascends. Ziggurat issues an order. It's time for Damien, Jack, and Julian to prove their worth. The race up the tower begins, and the defense system erects giant walls like a sadistic video game. Kyoya smashes the first set, more walls appear, and Masamune clears a path. At the base of the tower, Julian appears with Gravity Destroyer and literally distorts gravity to stop the group. Sophie creates an opening with Grand Maelstrom for the others to pass, while she and Wales hold off their former leader. They try to bring him back to his senses, and Ziggurat reveals his blackmail. He seized the Julian's family businesses and would only return them if Julian aided Hades Inc. The fight intensifies. Black Excalibur punishes Sophie and Wales, and Deshawn, who had dreamed of this matchup, takes over. He dodges, absorbs, and counters, telling Julian he treats his bay as a tool for profit while he truly trains. Julian confesses he lost everything after a single defeat to Jinga, but upon hearing Sophie and Wales call themselves his true friends, he rediscovers his spirit. In a final clash, Deshawn wins. Julian, however, reclaims his dignity and vows to create a new and stronger Team Excalibur. With Hades City hovering and Ziggurat aiming for the next Spiral Force test, the group splits up to find the Spiral Core, a classic horror movie move. Tsubasa, Yu, and Madoka enter a hallway of bizarre paintings and come face to face with the arrangement system. Jack emerges from it, ready to battle. In a burst of innocence, Yu lies down in the machine and gets trapped, while Madoka tries to free him, and Tsubasa faces the artist, who names his attacks like Befall the Ripper and tries to turn him into a statue. Jack laments not finishing his masterpiece at the World Championships, and Tsubasa retorts about his own regrets. When things get tough, Yu gets angry, launches Flame Libra from inside the machine, and with his Inferno Blast, blows the door open and frees himself. In the opening, Tsubasa lands his Shining Tornado Buster. Jack counters with Beautiful Dead, but is defeated. His masterpieces crumble. Tsubasa mocks him with The Peacock's Been Plucked, and Jack freaks out upon seeing the arrangement system ruined by Yu. The trio moves on. Ziggurat learns of Jack's defeat and sees Jinga, Masamune, and Kyoya one step away from the Spiral Core. A trap seals the room, and Damien appears, now arranged with data from his fight against Jinga. Kyoya decides to hold off the monster. He carves a tunnel with Rock Leone, tells Jinga and Masamune to go on, and stays for the duel. Damien taunts him, calling Kyoya weak for never having beaten Jinga, and immediately pulls him into the Hades Gate. Kyoya is burned, falls, gets back up, and says it didn't even hurt. Leone's roar shatters the dimension. He explains that his power comes from the wild. In the end, you can only rely on yourself. He turns the battle around, crushes Kerbex, and Damien panics, falls into mud, and screams, "Disgusting!" In desperation, he unleashes everything he has. Kyoya responds with the King Lion Reverse Wind Strike and destroys Damien's bay. "As long as you're on a leash, you'll never understand," he states. Jinga and Masamune storm the Spiral Core to rescue Toby, but they find Faust, who denies knowing who Toby is. Ziggurat appears to gloat about his creation. Faust, the ultimate blader, whose twisted tempo will power the Spiral Force. Hades City hovers over a city, firing energy beams, while Galaxy Pegasus and Ray Striker hit a wall named Twisted Tempo, the heaviest fusion wheel ever made. Faust activates Spiral Dimension, creating a black hole that freezes the heroes in time and accelerates the reactor. When all seems lost, Ryuga tears through the darkness with Mirio El Drago, undoing the move and creating an opening. Jinga and Masamune escape and in a combined special move attack, break through Tempo's defense and shatter Faust's bay. He falls, and Masamune catches him. The team arrives, but the victory is bittersweet. Without the Spiral Force, Ziggurat calculates calculates the city will explode in 20 minutes. Hades City plummets from the sky, 15 minutes from a nuclear meltdown, and Dr. Ziggurat panics, blaming Jinga for ruining his plans. Amid the chaos, Faust, still in his robotic state, tries to revive Twisted Tempo, while Kyoya solves the problem his way. He traps Ziggurat in an elevator with a precise strike from Rock Leone. The team splits up. Jinga and Madoka race to the reactor, and Masamune faces Faust, but Tempo overpowers him and sends him flying with every attack. On the stairs, Zio, having just escaped his cell, runs into Ziggurat and takes him down with a single blow. At the heart of the danger, Jinga launches Pegasus directly into the spiral core to absorb the energy. Faust activates Spiral Dimension, and Zio joins the battle. The three are pulled into a dimension of memories, where Faust begins to remember who he truly is. Toby. As Pegasus cracks under the colossal energy, Ryuga appears once more. Eldrago enters the core to share the load. With the reinforcements, Pegasus regenerates, flies to the galaxy, and safely releases the energy. Faust collapses and reverts to Toby. Everyone escapes the sinking city, and Galaxy Pegasus, though in pieces, returns to Jinga's hands. Peace reigns for a moment, but the line to challenge the #1 Blader has already begun. In an observatory, a young astronomer named Yuki discovers that a new star fragment is about to fall to Earth. At the same time, in an ancient temple, a cloaked figure named Pluto performs a bizarre ritual to summon the fragment and revive Nemesis, the Black Sun. When the meteor enters the atmosphere, it shatters into several pieces that rain down across the world. One of them strikes Yuki's observatory, giving his Bay, Anubius, an upgrade. Another piece hits the Bee Pit, where an exhausted Madoka has just finished repairing Jinga's Pegasus. The light grants Pegasus a new power, but she's so tired she dismisses it as a dream. Furious, Pluto sends his subordinate, Johannes, to find the other fragments. Meanwhile, Kenta is dominating a WBBA tournament, with Jinga as a guest commentator causing total chaos. After Kenta's victory, Jinga gets his brand new Pegasus. As he and Kenta prepare to battle, an arrow carrying a challenge letter appears out of nowhere, summoning Jinga to a mysterious island. The challenger is, of course, Kyoya, accompanied by Benkei, determined to settle their tie from the World Championships. Their battle begins on the beach, and Kyoya immediately unleashes a new move, the Lion Gale Force Wall. The fight becomes increasingly insane and destructive, spilling into a nearby forest. At the climax of their clash, a brilliant light envelops Pegasus and Leone, evolving them into far more powerful forms. Shocked but thrilled, they continue their brawl, which ends in a massive explosion, leaving both bays motionless in the middle of a crater. A young scientist named Yuki runs desperately through a port, trying to find Jinga, but he's cornered by a mysterious blader named Johannes. After a quick battle, Yuki creates a diversion and manages to escape, with Johannes hot on his tail. At the WBBA, Madoka analyzes the new Pegasus and Leone, and discovers they can now change modes. Leone has a counter mode, focused on aggression, while Pegasus has gained a final drive performance tip, which allows it to regain spin power. Fed up with the WBBA's tests, Kyoya demands a real battle against Jinga. When asked about Leone's transformation, Benkei recalls a strange light falling from the sky and striking Kyoya at Wolf Canyon the night before their fight, causing Leone to evolve. Realizing this is connected to the star fragment, Yuki is cornered again by Johannes, but is saved by the arrival of Jinga and his friends. Johannes vanishes into thin air, and Yuki calls Jinga a legendary blader before collapsing from exhaustion. Later, Yuki explains an ancient legend from his village. A star fragment that fell from the sky created the first Beyblades, and a prophecy foretold that a new fragment would arrive. This new fragment, sensing a great evil, split into 10 pieces and scattered across the earth to find 10 chosen warriors, the legendary Bladers. Yuki reveals that Jinga and Kyoya are two of them, and their bays were reborn as Cosmic Pegasus and Fang Leone after being struck by the light. The Great Evil is a group seeking to revive the god of destruction, Nemesis, and is hunting the legendary Bladers to steal their power. With a new mission to find the other 8, Jinga and the team brace for what lies ahead. The gang gets on a video call with Masamune to see if his bay, Striker, has evolved, but no dice. Jinga takes the opportunity to show off his brand new Bay, Cosmic Pegasus. They even called Deshawn, but no one on his team is a legendary blader. It's like looking for a shiny Pokemon and only finding Pidgeys. The star fragment analysis points to a remote island, and the group decides to head there to hunt for the next chosen one. Yuki suggests inviting Kyoya, but Madoka immediately shoots that idea down, calling him a lone wolf. Meanwhile, Kyoya himself is training hard with his new Bay, Fang Leon. Yuki remembers how rude Kyoya was when he refused to help against Johannes, but Jinga, ever the good guy, defends his rival, saying he has a true blader spirit. Elsewhere, Ryo secretly meets with Tsubasa and gives him the same mission, find the legendary bladers. As Jinga's group is about to leave, they're ambushed by Johannes, who already knows everything. The guy's like a cult recruiter, inviting Jinga to join the dark side and hand over Pegasus's power to this nemesis. Jinga obviously refuses, and the showdown begins in a narrow alley. Pegasus is at a disadvantage, with no room to build up speed, and Johannes's beat Lynx, which can change its height, is dominating the fight. The battle moves to an open field, but before Jinga can counterattack, Kyoya appears out of nowhere. He unleashes his own legendary blader power, revealing the evolved Fang Leon. Johannes is so shocked to see two legendary bladers in one place that he takes off. Kyoya announces that he's also hunting the legendaries, but only to defeat them all himself. Typical. Jinga and his friends arrive on a mysterious island with an active volcano, like something out of Skull Island. Yuki confirms his calculations point there and recalls a local legend about a sleeping flame. The boat captain warns them. The volcano is dangerous, and the locals hate outsiders. With that, he bails and leaves them stranded there for 2 days. They find a village, but as soon as the people see Jinga's Beyblade, panic erupts. Everyone locks themselves in their homes. The village chief throws a bucket of water on Jinga and tells the bladers to leave, calling them a plague. To top it off, the villagers drive the group away with stones and clubs. Hiding in the forest, they find a little girl named Sala training with her Bay. Madoka, never one to waste time, gives the girl's Bay an upgrade, making it much better. But Kyoya, ever impatient, gets tired of the talk and heads off with Benkei to investigate the volcano on his own. Sala explains that bays were forbidden after a blader appeared on the island 2 weeks ago. Her father, Dynamis, shows up and tells them the rest of the story. A guy named Ryuga climbed the sacred mountain. A star fragment fell right after, and the volcano went crazy. The villagers think it's a curse.
It's a curse! The curse of the dragon god itself!
Instantly, Jinga puts it all together. Ryuga is the legendary blader they're looking for. Meanwhile, at the volcano, Kyoya and Benkei find Ryuga himself. Kyoya introduces himself, saying his Fang Leon was also reborn by the star, and challenges him to a battle. The fight begins, and Kyoya uses all of Leon's new power, but Ryuga's El Drago Destructor withstands the attacks as if they were nothing. Ryuga even scoffs, saying the power difference isn't in the bays, but in the bladers, before preparing to show them what real power is. The battle between Kyoya and Ryuga continues at full throttle. Ryuga taunts Kyoya, saying he doesn't even know how to properly use his new Bay. After an absurd power clash, Kyoya is defeated, and Benkei rushes to his friend's side. Jinga and Yuki finally confront Ryuga, who immediately asks if Jinga is next in line. Desperate, Yuki tries to explain the situation. He tells the story of the star fragment, the evil forces trying to revive the god of destruction Nemesis, and the 10 legendary bladers chosen to stop the apocalypse. It's basically a Ryuga. You need to join the Avengers pitch. A flashback shows the fragment falling and transforming Ryuga's Bay into El Drago Destructor. Ryuga just laughs at the story, claiming it was his own power, not some space rock that caused the transformation. Benkei and Madoka chime in, confirming that Kyoya's Leon and Jinga's Pegasus were also reborn by the fragment. Jinga shows off his cosmic Pegasus, but Ryuga couldn't care less. He issues a challenge. If Jinga wants him to listen, he'll have to convince him in battle. Jinga accepts instantly. If he wins, Ryuga has to cooperate. The fight begins. Jinga discovers that Cosmic Pegasus is like a Swiss Army knife with multiple attack modes. He switches between upper mode, smash mode, and barrage mode, launching a sequence of strikes. But Ryuga has an answer for everything. He switches El Drago to a defensive mode, using its rubber parts to simply absorb Pegasus's spin with every attack. Kyoya, watching from the sidelines, realizes the trap. Ryuga is just baiting him, stealing Pegasus's energy. Disappointed with the show, Ryuga declares he will show Jinga the true power of El Drago Destructor. Pissed off about losing to Ryuga, Kyoya decides to take his anger out on the forest, like a lumberjack on a bad day. Jinga comes over to talks some sense into him, explaining that they both got too arrogant after their bays evolved. He realizes that a true legendary blader needs to master 100% of their bay's power, just like Ryuga does with El Drago. Inspired, Kyoya and Jinga begin a special training session against each other. Seeing their power, Kenta feels left out and challenges Yuki, but he gets beaten over and over. To make matters worse, the island's volcano also gets angry from the battles and erupts, spewing lava and volcanic bombs everywhere. While the gang helps the villagers, Kenta and a local girl, Sala, get trapped between the fire and a giant boulder. Desperate to protect Sala, Kenta launches Sagittario with all his might, unleashing a new power and revealing his true desire to become a legendary blader. With a single strike, he shatters the rock and clears a safe path. But the trouble isn't over. A massive river of lava still threatens the village. Jinga, Kyoya, and Yuki join forces like a Power Rangers triple threat and launch their bays together. The explosion is so powerful it diverts the lava into the sea, saving everyone. As they prepare to leave, Kenta announces he's going on his own path to get stronger, promising he'll be back one day. It's the classic hero's training journey. In an ancient village called Mohenjo, a Beyblade tournament is underway. The local champion, Ananga, is stunned when his opponent is none other than the infamous Ryuga. With a single devastating blow, Ryuga defeats him and then wipes the floor with every other blader in the competition without breaking a sweat. The village's legendary king, Indus, who supposedly holds the power of a star, enters the arena to challenge him. Ryuga, curious about the legend, battles him, but the result is the same. He sends the king flying out of the stadium with ease. As Ryuga tries to leave, a cloaked figure stops him. It's Kenta. He challenges Ryuga to a battle, lying that he's a legendary blader just to get his attention. They fight, but Kenta Sagittario is no match for El Drago's overwhelming power. Defeated, Kenta admits his lie and begs Ryuga to help Jinga and the others. Ryuga refuses and turns his back, but Kenta, determined to help his friends, goes into full-on stalker mode and begins following him relentlessly through deserts, mountains, and jungles. After collapsing from exhaustion and hunger, Kenta refuses the food Ryuga offers, vowing to survive on his own. After failing to catch a fish and build a fire, Kenta collapses, explaining this is the only way he could think of to support his friends. Seeing this unwavering determination, Ryuga tells Kenta to challenge him anytime, anywhere, to prove he can force Ryuga to take him seriously. With renewed hope, Kenta continues his pursuit, vowing to make Ryuga acknowledge him. Xiao Xin is walking through the city, surrounded by fans, but quickly dips out when he senses trouble. He sees two former members of the Bailin Temple bullying some younger kids to steal their bays. Before Xiao Xin can intervene, a mysterious bay knocks out the bullies' bays. A group of 5 cloaked figures appears, and their leader defeats the guys with a super powerful red flash.
Through the ruin of Bailin Temple! Take this!
Meanwhile, Jinga and his friends arrive at the Bailin Temple and are greeted by Deshawn and the rest of Wen Huzhong. They learn about a mysterious blader who has been attacking those expelled from the temple. Deshawn reveals that a tag team tournament is about to be held, the perfect place to find this powerful blader. Jinga and Yuki decide to team up, while Kyoya, as usual, takes off to start his own training. During practice, Jinga shows off the insane power of Cosmic Pegasus, and Yuki displays the incredible precision of Anubius. That night, an intruder, Johannes, invades the Bailin Temple and defeats several students. He battles Deshawn but stops the fight midway, sensing that Rock Zarafa lacks the power of a star fragment. Johannes declares he will enter the tag team tournament to find the true legendary blader and flees. At that exact moment, Xiao Xin appears, revealing he saw another mysterious blader, one who attacks with a red flash. Elsewhere, Johannes is confronted by the same cloaked figures, whose leader holds a bay that glows with a red light. Things are getting confusing. Jinga and his crew arrive in China for a tag team tournament called the Gateway to Success. The rule is simple and brutal. If one bay from a pair is defeated, the whole team loses. It's like a double elimination, but with metal tops. As they prepare, Yuki confesses it's his first tournament, and Kyoya, being Kyoya, doesn't miss the chance to make fun of him. The first battle begins, and Deshawn and Chun immediately show what they're made of, winning instantly with a special combination move. Next up, Kyoya and Benkei enter the arena, but Benkei doesn't even need any help and settles it himself himself with his red horn uppercut. Then, Johannes and his new partner Multi, who's basically a cat girl, enter the scene. Johannes immediately kills her vibe, telling her he just needed someone to sign up and that she should stay out of his way. In the battle, his bae beat Lynx is a showstopper. It dodges every attack by changing height on its spin track. But that's not all. Lynx's energy ring twists, revealing hidden claws and switching from defense to attack mode. It's like a transformer. With this trick, Johannes defeats both opponents single-handedly. Jinga and the others are stunned, wondering if this guy might be a legendary blader. The final match of the round is Jinga and Yuki versus Chao Xin and Mei Mei. The pressure is so intense that Yuki messes up his launch of Anubius. He simply freezes in fear, thinking he's going to make the team lose. After a scolding from Kyoya and some words of encouragement from Jinga, Yuki remembers his goal of becoming a legendary blader and regains his composure. He and Jinga combine their powers and launch a united attack, defeating both enemies in a gigantic explosion. From the stands, Johannes realizes that perhaps the true legendary blader is Yuki, and to make things even more tense, two mysterious bladers, Aguma and Bao, watch everything from a distance. The second round of the tag team tournament begins. The first match pits Jinga and Yuki against two unknown bladers in an arena made of yellow soil. Our heroes make short work of their opponents, quickly dispatching them and securing a spot in the top 4. The next match features Deshawn and Chun, who also win effortlessly and advance in the competition. The third showdown is the one to watch. Joya and Benkei versus Johannes and Multi. Johannes, as usual, tells his partner to stay on the sidelines, which infuriates Benkei. Joya decides he'll settle things one-on-one with Johannes. The battle begins with Kyoya's Leone attacking aggressively, but Johannes's Lynx dodges every strike. Johannes's plan is clear: let Leone tire itself out in the muddy arena, which drains its energy. Realizing the trap, Kyoya changes tactics and stops Leone in the center to conserve its stamina. As the crowd grows impatient, Johannes finally goes on the offensive. Kyoya counters with a sand tornado, trapping Lynx, and then unleashes his new special move, King Lion Crushing Fang. Amid the chaos, Johannes launches an attack that knocks Multi and Benkei out of the game. The result is a double knockout of the partners, leaving Kyoya and Johannes alone to decide the match. But before they can continue, the last match of the day begins, featuring the mysterious Bao and Aguma. They win instantly with a powerful move called Crimson Flash, and then reveal their origin. They are from the Beilin Fist, a rival school that was exiled from the Beilin Temple 2,000 years ago. They declare they have come to prove their school's superiority, adding more fuel to the fire for the semifinals. The Bladers are flown by helicopter to the semifinals, which take place in an absurd setting, a series of arenas built on rock platforms floating in the sky. Bao and Aguma continue their story. After being exiled from the main Beilin temple, they underwent brutal training for nearly 2,000 years, until a star fragment fell from the sky and gave them immense power. Deshawn and Chun, from the main temple, confront the two, vowing to stop the group of renegades as part of their duty. The semifinal brackets are announced: Deshawn and Chun against Jinga and Yuki, followed by Bao and Aguma against Kyoya and Benkei. The first match begins. Deshawn and Chun use a perfect combination of offense and defense, with Chun's Lacerda blocking with its solid iron wall, while Deshawn's Zarafa attacks. Jinga and Yuki's combined attacks are useless. The temple duo then unleashes their joint special move, the Heaven Supreme Destruction Blast, which sends Pegasus and Anubius flying and causes the cliff's edge to crumble, nearly taking Jinga and Yuki down with it. Pushed to the limit, Jinga decides to use Cosmic Pegasus's ultimate weapon, the Final Drive mode, even knowing it could destroy his bae. The top transforms and breaks free from the trap. With Yuki's Anubius acting as a shield, Jinga launches Pegasus's new special move, Cosmic Tornado. The attack is so powerful it nullifies Deshawn and Chun's special moves, knocking out both of their baes.
Pegasus, Cosmic Tornado!
Jinga and Yuki emerge victorious and advance to the finals. As Kyoya and Benkei prepare for their match, Aguma reveals his true power, showing that he, not Bao, is the legendary blader who received the power of the star fragment. The plot twist no one saw coming. Madoka, our resident hacker, analyzes his bae, Syth Chronos, and sees it has a unique fusion wheel and performance tip, but there's no data on the special move that secured their victory. To make matters worse, Aguma and Bao taunt Kyoya, saying they only used their full power, because he he was a tougher opponent. The tournament final is set, Jinga and Yuki versus the dynamic duo Bao and Aguma, and the fight is going down in the legendary Zhongji Martial Arts Hall, basically the birthplace of all Bei arts in China. Before the showdown, Deshan and Chun give Jinga the rundown. The Balin Fist style is 100% offense, created by a group of rebels who oppose the Balin Temple's defensive style. The final battle begins in a stadium that looks like a giant maze. Jinga and Yuki start running to conserve energy, but Bao immediately goes on the attack. Yuki's Anubius holds off Bao's Hades crown, giving Jinga time to reach the center. Then Aguma, instead of following the path, simply smashes through the walls and confronts Pegasus. Yuki manages to break free and join the fight, but Kronos has a free spinning part that deflects all their combined attacks. Aguma reveals that Kronos is a stamina type and uses a defensive move from the Balin Temple, turning it into an attack that creates a ring of flying debris. Yuki creates an opening by attacking from below, and Jinga unleashes his special move, Cosmic Tornado, but Aguma unleashes his own special, the Great Ring of Destruction. The explosion is so massive it knocks out Jinga's, Yuki's, and even his own partner Bao's Bei. With Syth Kronos being the last one spinning, Aguma and Bao are crowned the champions. To cap it all off, Aguma declares that this victory is just the first step in their revenge to defeat every blader in the world. After their victory, Aguma and Bao take off in a helicopter, leaving the ruined stadium behind, but they're followed by Johannes, who makes them an offer they can't refuse. Information on the star fragment. Meanwhile, a new tournament begins, the Tower of Babel Battle Royal. The prize is a legendary bay that supposedly holds the power of a star fragment, and the winner must face the Babylonian Blader warrior at the top. And just as the tournament kicks off, who shows up to cause trouble? None other than Ryuga. As the bladers race up the tower, a cloaked figure reveals himself. It's Kenta, who challenges Tsubasa. Kenta says he needs to win to become strong enough to convince Ryuga to join their cause. He even unleashes his special move, Flame Claw, but Tsubasa wins the intense battle by a hair's breadth. When Tsubasa finally reaches the top, he finds Ryuga already waiting for him. The guy simply defeated everyone and reveals his new Bei, El Drago Destructor. To complete the parade of disappointments, the so-called Babylonian warrior confesses he's just an actor, and the legendary Bei is a fake. Ryuga obviously gets pissed and unleashes his ultimate move, Dragon Emperor Life Destructor, demolishing the entire tower. It's the kind of reaction we've come to expect from him. As Ryuga leaves, Kenta decides to follow him alone on a solo mission. Elsewhere, Jinga and his friends receive a tip from Julian and head to Greece in search of the next legendary blader. Masamune and his crew are guided by the mysterious Johannes through a dense jungle to a massive stone pyramid in a very Indiana Jones-esque vibe. Inside, Johannes uses a Bei-like device to open a secret passage, which leads them to a chamber overlooking a lava-filled abyss. Johannes kneels before a giant stone face and announces he has brought a legendary blader. A cloaked figure named Pluto emerges from the statue's mouth, speaking of a new era of Beyblade and a god named Nemesis. He reveals his plan, to use the power of the star fragment to revive Nemesis and make the Balin Fist the center of the Beyblade world. To prove his power, Pluto has Masamune place his Bei on an altar. Suddenly, they are all enveloped in a brilliant light and have a vision of space, as Pluto cryptically says, "Now we have two." Meanwhile, Jinga, Madoka, and Yuki arrive in Europe and are greeted by Sophie in Wales. They explain that a star fragment fell in the area, and a local legend speaks of the Sword of the Gods, a Bei so powerful it was sealed in a temple. The legend foretold that a new light falling from the sky would break the seal. The group travels to the temple only to find it completely destroyed. Julian and Klaus are already there and tell them someone has taken the Bei. Klaus deduces that the new blader will appear in a major tournament to test their power. Madoka discovers that the Destroyer Dome tournament is set to begin the next day in America. Back at the dungeon gym, Masamune's group hears the news, just as Tsubasa makes a surprise entrance, holding a special invitation from the WBBA to compete. It seems all roads lead to America. The Destroyer Dome tournament kicks off in a gigantic spherical arena, like a death cage with no exits. In the waiting area, the tension between the Garcia siblings is thick. Salen and Enzo lay it on their older brother Argo. They're fed up with his tyrannical control, blame him for their loss at the World Championships, and announce that Team Garcia is over. The team has officially split. The first match begins, a battle royale with 10 bladers. The announcer introduces the competitors, including the mysterious Captain Kepri, who is actually Tobio. He makes a grand entrance via parachute and immediately eliminates 2 bladers with his Capricorn. When Argo Argo and Ion try to double-team Tobio, Selen and Enzo rebel and attack their own brothers, declaring they will now fight for themselves. Inspired by their battles with Jinga, they refuse to be puppets any longer. Argo and Ion are furious and show no mercy, brutally eliminating their younger siblings from the match. Disgusted by their cruelty, Tobi and Zio jump in to defend Selen and Enzo. Meanwhile, Tsubasa is in an intense clash with Tobio, but Argo interrupts to get his revenge on Tsubasa. The plan backfires. Tsubasa counters with his special move, Eagle Diving Crush, and sends Argo's Bay flying.
Special move! Eagle Diving Crush!
Special move!
In a dramatic twist, the Garcias fake their remorse, crying and apologizing just to trick their opponents. They use the moment of hesitation to launch a surprise attack, but Tobi, Zio, and Tsubasa team up. The trio unleashes their special moves simultaneously, crushing the Garcias in a massive explosion. The three winners of Block A are announced: Tsubasa, Tobi, and Zio. As they celebrate, Masamune is told he's up next. The battle royale in the Destroyer Dome continues with the Block B fight. Masamune receives his brand new Bay, Blitz Striker, and immediately proclaims himself a legendary blader, but his friends are quick to shoot him down. He soon faces two new bladers, the Arrogant King and the Quiet Jigsaw. The Russian team, Lavushka, and three more bladers from the Dungeon Gym also arrive to compete. The final participant is none other than Jack from Hades Inc., who is now on a kick about Beyblade being art. The 10-blader battle begins, and Masamune and King immediately go after each other. Masamune shows off Blitz Striker's new power, changing its fusion wheel from 3 to 6 blades for a brutal barrage attack. Jack enters the fray and easily eliminates the 3 Dungeon Gym bladers with his special move, Befall the Ripper. He then targets Jigsaw, but his attack doesn't even leave a scratch. Jigsaw humiliates Jack, calling him insignificant, and unleashes his own special move, Burst Satellite. The attack creates an explosion so massive it knocks out Jack, Team Lavushka, and the other Gym bladers all at once. It's a complete wipeout. When the smoke clears, only 3 bladers remain standing. The announcer declares that Masamune, King, and Jigsaw are the winners of Block B and will advance to the final round. Though shocked, Masamune and King vow to defeat Jigsaw in the finals. The final battle royale in the Destroyer Dome begins with 6 bladers: Masamune, King, Tobi, Zio, Jigsaw, and Tsubasa. Before the fight even starts, Masamune and King are already arguing over who will become the legendary blader. When the battle kicks off, Jigsaw's Iolmus simply vanishes, but Tsubasa uses his special move, Eagle Stream Slash, to reveal its location. Jigsaw retaliates, effortlessly dodging a combined attack from Tobi and Zio and eliminating them both with his Burst Satellite move. Masamune attacks Iolmus, but King gets in the way, revealing that his Bay, Variares, can reverse its spin. The gang realizes that Variares is the legendary Sword of the Gods, a Bay capable of switching between left and right rotation, as well as attack and defense modes. It's practically a cheat code. King overpowers Jigsaw and eliminates him. Tsubasa then attacks King with his special move, Shining Tornado Buster, but King counters with his own special, King of Thunder Sword, and defeats Tsubasa. Now only Masamune and King remain. Their clash is so insane it shatters the Destroyer Dome, and the spherical arena goes rolling through the city like a giant bowling ball. Inside, the two continue their battle while running. King reveals he was forbidden from battling in his village because he was too strong, and is thrilled to finally have a worthy opponent. They launch their final moves, Flash of Lightning and King of Thunder Sword. The explosion sends the arena into the water. Masamune is defeated, and King is crowned the winner. In the end, Masamune acknowledges that King is a true legendary blader. In this episode, we meet Ryuto, a treasure hunter who looks like he walks straight out of an Indiana Jones movie, but with a Beyblade. He's exploring ancient ruins in search of a star fragment. Using his Bay, Omega Dragonis, he deciphers a hieroglyphic puzzle to cross a chasm. When other hunters show up looking for a fight, Ryuto proves he's smarter, triggers a trap, and disappears in the chaos as the ruins collapse. With a map in hand, he sets his next destination, Mist Mountain. Meanwhile, Jinga, Kyoya, and the gang are crossing a savanna, also on their way to the so-called Mist Mountain. They believe a new legendary blader is hiding there. Nile explains that the place is no joke. It's a labyrinth covered in fog, known as the Mountain of No Return. Ruins of an ancient Beyblade civilization exist there, protected by a guardian who might be the blader they're looking for. The group arrives at the entrance to the ruins, a giant, misty maze. Nile tries to guide them with a map, but but the path is full of traps. Jinga, like any good protagonist, makes a wrong step and falls through a trapdoor, getting separated from his friends. He lands in a dark chamber filled with pillars and comes face to face with Ryuto. Mistaking Jinga for a Tomb Raider, Ryuto challenges him to a battle for the star fragment. The bays are launched. Cosmic Pegasus versus Omega Dragonis. Ryuto uses the room's pillars to his advantage, showing he's a strategist. Jinga switches Pegasus to Smash mode, but Ryuto reveals that Dragonis can also change modes. He uses his special move, Lightning Hammer, causing the ceiling to collapse and trap Pegasus. But Jinga doesn't give up, activating Final Drive mode and launching his Cosmic Tornado. Ryuto counters with another Lightning Hammer, and the two moves collide in a massive explosion. Jinga and his crew reach the summit of Mist Mountain but are swallowed by a dense fog so thick they can't see an inch in front of their faces. Kyoya, ever the drama king, launches Leon and creates a tornado that clears the fog, revealing a secret entrance. What they don't know is that Johannes and his group are tailing them, letting Jinga's team test all the traps for them. Inside the passage, the group finds a fork in the road blocked by a giant stone face. After Ryuto uses his bay to check if it's safe, they proceed to another fork, this time with 3 faces. Benkei guesses the middle path is correct and ends up getting trapped. The gang realizes the statue's eyes point the right way and rush onward, only to fall into another trap that drops them into a massive ancient Beyblade stadium. Sensing they were being followed, Kyoya uses Leon to expose Johannes, who is now allied with Aguma and Bao. The former Beilin Fist members reveal they joined Johannes to aid in the resurrection of Nemesis and lead a new era of Beyblade. Furious, Kyoya challenges Aguma to a rematch. When their star fragment bays clash, the energy is so immense, it opens a giant stone door in the stadium. As Jinga's group runs for the exit, Johannes' henchmen block their path. Benkei, Nile, and Demure volunteer to stay behind and fight, telling the others to go on ahead. Aguma taunts Kyoya, saying he isn't a true lone wolf since he's always hanging around Jinga's crew. Kyoya gets pissed, denies being part of any team, and declares he is a wild lion who fights alone. He unleashes his special move, King Lion Crushing Fang, and defeats Aguma. With the stone door closing, Benkei and the others yell for Kyoya to go. After a moment of hesitation, Kyoya runs, leaving his friends behind and reaffirming to himself that he is on his own. Jinga and his friends reach a misty summit, where a mysterious voice calls them the Chosen Ones. The voice, identifying itself as the temple's guardian, gives them a riddle. They must use wisdom and power to find the true door. The mist clears, revealing a Stonehenge-like structure and a large, sealed entrance. While Madoka tries to decipher ancient letters on the door, Masamune discovers that some of the stone pillars have holes in them. Kyoya's group arrives, and after a heated argument, Kyoya launches Leon into a pillar, which only causes a rock slide and solves nothing. As night falls, Yuki looks at the sky and sees the constellation Cygnus. He realizes the Guardian's riddle about the wings of the White God refers to the Swan constellation. Masamune deduces that the holes in the pillars form a map of the constellation. Yuki launches his bay, Anubius, which flies through the holes in the correct sequence, causing the main door to open. Inside, they meet Dynamis, the Guardian. He reveals he is a legendary blader, and that the star fragment is inside his bay Jade Jupiter. He will only lend them his power if they prove themselves worthy. Impatient, Ryuto challenges him to a battle. Dynamis's Jade Jupiter easily defends against Dragonis' attacks. Madoka discovers that Jupiter can move internal metal spheres to change modes, switching between a super defensive state and a powerful attack state by altering its center of gravity and centrifugal force. Dynamis unleashes his special move, Grand Lightning, and defeats Ryuto with ease, asking who will be the next to challenge him. After Ryuto's defeat, Dynamis looks at the gang and throws down the challenge. Who's next? Kyoya, in his typical arrogant style, just turns his back and walks away. Yuki offers to step up, but Jinga steps in front of him, ready for a battle. Jinga launches Cosmic Pegasus at full force, relentlessly attacking Jade Jupiter. His friends think he's being reckless, but Madoka and Yuki figure out the strategy. The continuous attacks are meant to stop Jupiter from switching to its powerful defense mode. Even Kyoya notices that Jinga learned from his battle. Jinga sends Jupiter flying, but then comes the twist. Dynamis reveals it was all a trap. He had already locked Jupiter in defense mode before the match even started, just to fool Jinga. Though shocked, Jinga doesn't give up. He calls upon the power of friendship, remembering his pals and Pegasus, and unleashes his special move, Cosmic Tornado. The attack sends Jupiter soaring, but it lands still spinning, leaving Pegasus wobbling and nearly defeated. Before the battle can have a winner, Dynamis stops everything, acknowledging their strength. He then shows them a vision, revealing the legend of Nemesis's revival. Thousands of years ago, a star fragment corrupted by a black sun fell to Earth and became the Bay Nemesis. In the hands of the evil King Hades, it became the god of destruction. King Zeus and 5 legendary bladers, the ancestors of the current solar system bladers, joined forces and sealed Nemesis and Hades away. But Hades vowed he would return, and to top it all off, Johannes, Aguma, and their crew appear and drop a bombshell. They are the followers of Hades. At the Mist Mountain Temple, Dynamis drops another prophecy on them, the existence of the 4 season bladers, chosen by the new star fragment to decide the fate of the world. He explains that after the ancient battle, King Zeus divided Gaia's power into 4 parts to ensure Nemesis wouldn't return at full strength. Yuki, the group's brain, connects the dots. Jinga's cosmic Pegasus is an autumn constellation, Kyoya's Fang Leone is a spring one, and Ryuga's El Drago Destructor is a summer one. That means they already have 3 of the 4 bladers. Dynamis also reveals that Aguma is a solar system blader, wielding the power of Saturn. But Aguma couldn't care less about this destiny talk, saying his only goal is to revive the Balin Fist. A fight breaks out, and Kyoya challenges Aguma. Enraged by the taunts, Kyoya prepares to use his special move, King Lion Crushing Fang, creating a massive tornado that threatens to destroy the entire temple. But Bao stops the attack with his own special move.
Mystic Zone!
Frustrated and declaring he is a lone lion, Kyoya abandons the group, with the loyal Benkei following close behind. Johannes and his crew make their retreat, satisfied to have divided their enemies. Jinga's group decides their next mission is to find the final legendary blader, and they suspect it might be Masamune. The plan: to hold a tournament on Baster Island to awaken him. Meanwhile, Jinga calls Tsubasa, who lies about Kenta's whereabouts, hiding the fact that the boy has gone to find Ryuga on his own. Jinga and his friends travel by ship to the Baster Island Championship, a tournament they hope will awaken Masamune as the last of the 4-season legendary bladers. Jinga explains that Masamune's Blitz Striker belongs to a winter constellation, the Unicorn. This sparks a glimmer of hope for Benkei, as his Dark Bull is also a winter constellation, Taurus, and he believes becoming a legendary blader will finally make him Kyoya's equal. Masamune and King arrive, already arguing about who will win, and are soon confronted by Tobi and Zio, who have also entered the competition to test them. Upon arriving at the island, the gang is stunned by giant statues that resemble the Moai of Easter Island. At the tournament site, they find a crowd of bladers, including Johannes and his crew, who show up and immediately start taunting them. Suddenly, Ryuga makes a dramatic entrance, and Jinga vows to defeat him and make him join their cause. As the tournament is about to begin, Jinga spots a mysterious cloaked figure in the crowd, and is certain it's Kenta. The announcer, Blader DJ, explains the rules. It's a race to the mountain's peak with battle posts along the way. Only those who win a battle can advance, and the first 2 to reach the top will face off in the finals. The prize is a solid gold statue, which gets Masamune and King all fired up. The tournament begins, and Jinga, instead of focusing on the race, chases after the cloaked figure and gets separated from the rest of the group. He reaches a stadium and is challenged by 5 bladers at once. Jinga dispatches them all easily with Cosmic Pegasus, and a secret passage opens, allowing him to continue his race to the summit. The Baster Island Championship is heating up, with Masamune and Aguma blazing through and winning their matches without breaking a sweat. Suddenly, El Drago's sinister energy appears, and Aguma, who never backs down from a fight, runs off to challenge its owner. Meanwhile, Jinga plays detective, thinking he saw Kenta disguised in a cloak. He follows the figure to a ferry that conveniently begins to depart. The mysterious figure removes their hood, and it's Kenta himself. He came to challenge Jinga to prove he's no longer a pushover, and as their battle begins, another one erupts on the island, the arrogant king versus none other than the Dragon Emperor, Ryuga. On the ferry, Kenta's Flash Sagittario is powered up, but Jinga's Cosmic Pegasus is like a transformer, changing modes and deflecting everything. On the island, King is full of himself, thinking his reverse rotation Bay Variares can handle El Drago. Ryuga, who was just toying with him at first, gets angry and unleashes an absurd power that overwhelms King. Back on the water, Kenta launches his new special move, Diving Claw, but Jinga counters with Cosmic Tornado tornado. The explosion is so powerful it destroys the ferry, but in the end Pegasus is still spinning and Jinga takes the win. At the same time, King tries to use his special move, King of Thunder's sword, but it's useless. Ryuga's El Drago simply shatters Variares, proving there's only one Dragon Emperor. Washed up on the beach, Jinga congratulates Kenta on his incredible strength. That's when Kenta reveals his plan. He was following Ryuga to become strong enough to defeat him and convince him to join the legendary Bladers to save the world. Jinga understands his friend's determination and gives him his blessing to continue his journey. Night falls on Baster Island, and the atmosphere grows tense. A mysterious Blader begins attacking from the shadows like a ninja. He defeats several competitors with a single, devastating blow, leaving everyone shocked and unsure of who or what hit them. It's one knockout after another. Meanwhile, Zio and Toby reach a checkpoint and prepare to duel. But before the battle can begin, the mysterious Bey appears and crashes the party. The two friends decide to form a temporary alliance and launch their Beys, Fox and Lyra, in a combined attack. But it's no use. The unknown Bey counters with a giant pink energy beam, defeating them both instantly. Masamune arrives just in time to see the light and finds his friends unconscious. After hearing about the super powerful invisible opponent, Masamune swears revenge and rushes to find a new path to the summit. Masamune is the first to arrive at the final battle stage on the mountain peak. The announcer declares him a finalist, but the celebration is short-lived. Another Blader, a guy named Chris, reveals he was there the whole time, just hiding in the shadows. As the two finalists prepare to fight, the announcer puts a stop to it, saying the final battle will only begin when all the spectators have arrived. Masamune gets fired up, seeing this as his golden opportunity to prove to everyone that he is the final 4-season legendary Blader. Chris overhears this and seems very intrigued by the title. Unfortunately, Masamune loses the tournament, and after his victory, Chris watches as his Bey, Phantom Orion, begins to transform. While Masamune is being comforted by his friends, Jinga approaches Chris to ask for his help, since he's a legendary Blader, but the guy is a mercenary. He reveals he only fights for money and will be charging for his services. King is furious at his disrespect toward Masamune and challenges him to a battle. Jinga tries to break it up, but King shoves him, and suddenly, the two friends start fighting each other. The fight is interrupted by the arrival of Johannes, Aguma, and their hooded crew. Johannes offers to hire Chris, promising to grant him any wish. Chris accepts on the spot, and his first mission is to defeat Jinga's group. A massive battle royale begins, and Johannes orders Chris to eliminate Jinga's Pegasus first. Chris obeys, and his Orion sends Pegasus flying. Just as Pegasus is about to be defeated, King saves it with his Variares. Jinga retrieves his Bey and, activating Final Drive mode, unleashes his special move, Cosmic Tornado. Chris counters with his own move, Barnard's Loop, and just as the two massive attacks are about to collide, Ryuga appears on a cliff, looking stylish as ever. He reveals himself as the 4th legendary Blader, and his El Drago Destructor simply sucks the star fragment's power right out of Chris's Orion. With their mission ruined, Johannes and his crew beat a hasty retreat. Ryuga also leaves, leaving everyone stunned. Now that the 4-season legendary Bladers have been found, a renewed Masamune vows to become even stronger. Meanwhile, in a hidden temple, a mysterious figure warns a guardian that the omens are appearing. While Jinga trains in the forest as if there's no tomorrow, determined to get stronger, Kyoya is on another level of insanity. The guy is in the middle of nowhere, smashing giant rock formations with his Fang Leon, Hulk-level training. But his peace is interrupted by a group of villagers who mistake him for a monster that has been attacking their village. Kyoya, with no patience for small talk, defeats their Beys with the greatest of ease. The village chief arrives to smooth things over and apologizes. He explains that a mysterious monster with a terrifying Bey has been stealing their food in the ruins on a nearby mountain. Kyoya, who never backs down from a good challenge, is intrigued and decides to face this creature as part of his training. It's his way of having fun. Arriving at the ruins amidst an eerie fog, Kyoya comes face to face with a giant, monstrous shadow. He launches Leon into battle, but when the shadow opens its mouth, the voice is familiar. With no time for a horror movie, Kyoya uses Lion Gale Force Wall to clear the fog and, surprise! The monster is just his old rival, Yu. It turns out Yu's shadow looked like a monster, and Yu himself himself thought Kyoya was the one terrorizing the village. A complete misunderstanding. Alone on his own training journey, Yu begs for a battle. Kyoya, already fed up but with little choice, accepts. Yu uses Libra to dig an arena in the ground, and the two rivals prepare to clash, unaware that a mysterious masked figure is watching everything from the shadows. The fight is interrupted by the masked figure, and when the duo catches up to him, he reveals himself to be Tithi. Yu challenges him to a battle, and Tithi's personality does a complete 180. The shy boy suddenly becomes a battle-crazed, super excited maniac. His bae, Death Quetzalcoatl, immediately shows it's not messing around with its powerful fusion wheel. Kyoya, watching from the sidelines, wonders where the scared kid from before went. Yu tries a long-range attack strategy with his special move, Libra Sonic Wave, to avoid direct contact. But Tithi reveals his ace in the hole, his rubber performance tip, which acts like a shock absorber and soaks up all the attacks. Yu realizes this rubber tip is a disadvantage in the sand arena and uses Libra Sonic Buster to trap Quetzalcoatl. As Yu attacks relentlessly, Tithi gets happier and happier with the challenge, and a golden aura envelops him. To prolong the fun, he makes Quetzalcoatl bury itself in the ground, making its defense impenetrable. Frustrated, Yu unleashes his ultimate move, Libra Final Infernal Blast. That's when Tithi shows he was just playing around the whole time. He reveals his full strength and counters with his own special move, Ascension Spark. Defeating Libra, Kyoya figures it all out. Tithi is the legendary blader of Venus. He challenges him, but Tithi reverts to the scared little boy and refuses to fight. Yu steps in to protect him. After a stare down, Kyoya decides to take them both to find Jenga. Yu calls the group and confirms it. All 5 solar system legendary bladers have been found. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Johannes leads his group to a secret chamber where Dynamis reveals he is working with the enemy. He begins a ritual to transfer their power to Nemesis, and a hooded figure announces that the ceremony of rebirth has begun. In Pluto's lair, the revival ceremony for Nemesis is in full swing. Under Pluto's command, Dynamis, Aguma, and Chris launch their bays, pouring the power of their star fragments onto a dark altar. The floor splits open, and from a fiery abyss, a stone arena rises, revealing a newly born Nemesis Beyblade at its center. Pluto explains that Nemesis will grow by absorbing their power until it finds a worthy blader, the child of the Black Sun, to become the god of destruction. When Bao tries to grab the Bey, he is violently thrown back. Doji appears, revealing that another of Hades' servants is already searching for the chosen one. Pluto orders the bladers to attack Nemesis to feed it more power. Jade Jupiter, Scythe Kronos, and Phantom Orion launch a barrage of attacks, but the baby Bey doesn't even flinch. They use their special moves, but Nemesis simply absorbs all the energy. Desperate, the 3 combine their ultimate moves, creating a giant pillar of light that tears through the sky. The energy blast causes Jinga's and his friends' star fragments to glow. They get a call from Rio, who confirms that Nemesis is active at the Mayan ruins in Mexico. Realizing the enemy is using the ruins to revive the god of destruction, the team decides they need to leave immediately to stop them. Meanwhile, Ryuga is drawn by a powerful force, and his El Drago glows intensely. Kenta follows him, begging him not to go, afraid that Ryuga will be consumed by the dark power again. To make him listen, Kenta challenges him to a battle. Ryuga easily defeats Sagittario multiple times, but Kenta refuses to give up. Remembering his training with Jinga, Kenta unleashes his new special move, Diving Claw. Ryuga counters with his ultimate move, Dragon Emperor Supreme Flight. The clash defeats Kenta, but not before he manages to crack El Drago's face bolt.
Don't mess with me! Dragon Emperor Supreme Flight!
Lying on the ground, Kenta begs Ryuga to help Jinga and the others. Jinga and the gang are racing toward a mysterious pyramid, but the villains are already one step ahead. They reveal their plan. They lured the legendary bladers into a trap, aiming to steal the power of their star fragments to revive the so-called Nemesis. And to make matters worse, the sinister Doji is back, introducing the new evil crew, Rago, the child of the Black Sun, and his henchmen, Herschel, Kaiser, and Kupnis. To show he's not messing around, Rago immediately unleashes a wave of dark energy that sends a chill down everyone's spine. When Jinga's team finally reaches the pyramid, they walk right into an ambush set by Johannes and Bao. But just in the nick of time, the cavalry arrives. Toby and Zio show up to help, holding off the enemies so the legendary bladers can enter. Masamune joins the group and they storm the pyramid, only to be told over their communicators that yes, it was a trap. Inside, they find 2 stadiums, and Aguma immediately challenges Jinga. But Yuki isn't having it and steps in, launching a newbie Mobius to fight in his place. Suddenly, Dynamis appears, but he's an enemy now, and says their power will be used to fuel Nemesis. It turns out he's being controlled by a dark pendant. While Masamune and King are busy with Rago's soldiers, Kyoya kicks down the door with Yu and Tifi. Ignoring the prophecies, he says he'll crush anyone who gets in his way to Jinga and challenges the controlled Dynamis. The stage is now set for a massive brawl with 4 powerful bladers facing off: Aguma, Tifi, Kyoya, and Dynamis. With multiple battles raging at once, Kyoya reaffirms that he couldn't care less about any of it. He just wants to settle things with Jinga and will run over anyone who gets in his way. As an excited Tifi launches their Bei Quetzalcoatl against Aguma's Kronos, Dynamis warns Kyoya that Leone's power will be offered to the god of destruction. Kyoya, obviously not a fan of the idea, charges forward but is stopped in his tracks. Suddenly, Dynamis starts to short-circuit, covered in green energy, shouting that the hearts of the 4 seasoned warriors must become one before collapsing. This crazy scene sparks an idea in Jinga's head, and he runs off with Madoka and Yuki. In the other battle, Tifi reveals their true form and manages to overcome Aguma's special move by attacking from above. As they flee, Jinga explains what he understood from Dynamis's words. The 4 seasoned legendary bladers must unite their hearts to stop Nemesis. Yuki then completes the list, saying the 2 they're missing are Chris, the owner of Phantom Orion, and none other than Ryuga. As if they'd summoned him, the group runs right into Chris. Jinga tries to explain that the villains are using him, but Chris, being a blader for hire, says he only cares about his contract, and his job is to battle Jinga. Seeing no other way to talk it out, Jinga accepts the fight. The 2 launch their bays, and Cosmic Pegasus collides with Phantom Orion. The heat is on. The battle between Jinga and Chris rages on, with both using their special moves, Cosmic Tornado and Bernard's Loop. The clash of power is so immense that Pluto, Rago, and Doji seize the opportunity to suck up all the energy, using it like an evil vacuum cleaner to fuel Nemesis's resurrection. The explosion hurls both bladers into a psychedelic space where Chris reveals his lonely past as a blader for hire, forced to win just to stay in the sport. Jinga responds with a classic protagonist speech, saying that true strength comes from the bonds of friendship and rivalry, and that Chris's love for Beyblade never died. Jinga's words touched the mercenary's heart. Back in the ruins, Kyoya, Aguma, and Tifi crash the fight, followed by King, Masamune, and Tsubasa, and the group unites to defeat Aguma's allies. Meanwhile, Ryuga manages to break free from Pluto's control and simply bails, with Kenta chasing after him. Moved by the speech, Chris decides to join the good guys. They finally confront the main bosses, Pluto, Rago, and a back-from-the-dead Doji. The villains then reveal their master plan. Everything, from the Dark Nebula to the Spiral Force, was part of a scheme to revive Nemesis and reset the world. With Nemesis's power growing, all the legendary bladers assemble. Ignoring pleas to fight as a team, a furious Ryuga attacks Nemesis alone, intending to absorb all the power for himself, but the move backfires. Rago declares that the power belongs to the god of destruction, and Ryuga and El Drago are completely swallowed. With this stolen power, the ultimate day is born. Diablo Nemesis. Jinga and the other legendary bladers are thrown back by a wave of dark energy, while Pluto and his followers celebrate that the prophecy has been fulfilled. To protect the future, Jinga doesn't hesitate and launches his Cosmic Pegasus against Diablo Nemesis. Pegasus unleashes a barrage of strikes, but Nemesis doesn't even budge, standing firm as a rock. Rago then reveals the secret to his power. Nemesis is like a dark Kirby, having absorbed the power of the other legendary bladers, and now possessing all their abilities. To make matters worse, it changes its performance tip from stamina to attack in the blink of an eye. Rago unleashes the beast of Nemesis, which mercilessly humiliates Pegasus. The other bladers try to help, but Nemesis just sucks up their power too and defeats them all. With the power of all the star fragments, the Bei begins to destroy the temple. Amid the chaos, Doji appears to taunt an already injured Ryuga. Enraged, Ryuga launches El Drago, but he's defeated instantly and thrown into the collapsing ruins. To cap it all off, Rago uses his special move, Armageddon, causing a massive explosion that turns the temple to dust. Luckily, Tsubasa arrives by helicopter just in time to rescue the gang. After the dust settles, there's no sign of Nemesis or Ryuga. Kenta blames himself for what happened, but in a desolate, fiery wasteland, a broken Ryuga rises, vowing to defeat Nemesis and prove he is the strongest. Pluto, Rago, and Doji arrive at their new HQ, the Lost Kingdom, which has just risen from the ocean. Pluto uses his powers to open a dark portal, and a giant purple beam shoots into the sky, creating a storm that causes natural disasters all over the world. In the midst of this chaos, our hero's helicopter is shaken like a blender. Madoka gets a call from Hikaru with a satellite image. A gigantic island has appeared out of nowhere. Yuki and Teethy instantly realize it's King Hades' lost kingdom, which was supposed to be reborn along with Nemesis to create a new empire of darkness. They decide to head there directly, but the clouds and tornadoes block any surveillance. To make matters worse, the helicopter is too heavy and low on fuel. The reason: Kenta, Yu, and Benkei stowed away on board to help in the fight. With the extra weight, the helicopter starts to fall. Even after jettisoning the cargo, they end up making a crash landing on a nearby island. With their transport in pieces, Ryuto suggests using the life rafts. Kyoya, ever the hothead, is confident his Leon can handle the tornadoes. As they prepare, we find out that Ryuga not only survived, but is already at the Lost Kingdom. Back at the main temple, Ryuga confronts Rago, Pluto, and Doji, mocking their plans. He challenges Rago, and as soon as they launch their bays, the storm around the island simply vanishes. The gang sees the clear path and heads for the island at full speed, with no idea that the epic battle between Ryuga and Rago has just begun. Ryuga gives it his all in battle, but is brutally defeated. With this loss, the legendary Bladers return to the WBBA for intense training, but Dynamis lays down the hard truth. That alone won't be enough. They need to fill their bays with the power of the star fragment. Meanwhile, in the middle of the ocean, Rago uses the dark power of Diablo Nemesis to create a giant vortex in the sky. The result? Global climate chaos with storms and earthquakes everywhere. At the WBBA, Rio and his team watch the apocalypse unfold in real time. The game changer comes from a call from the Space Center. Satellite images show a massive atmospheric disturbance in the Pacific Ocean. Dynamis cracks the code. The enemies are raising King Hades' Lost Kingdom from the depths. Rio orders the legendary Bladers to a helicopter but bars their friends due to lack of space. But at the heliport, Johannes and his gang show up for an ambush looking to destroy the gang's ride. As the Bladers defend their air taxi, reinforcements arrive, including Masamune and Kenta, but the one who truly turns the tide is Aguma, the warrior of Saturn. He arrives with a bang, unleashes his special move, Great Ring of Destruction, and sweeps the attackers away. The move damages the helicopter, but Aguma, in a moment of pure brute force, holds the aircraft with his bare hands before it can fall. He decides to join the mission, and as they depart, the Lost Kingdom of Hades finally emerges from the ocean in all its dark glory. Kenta and Jinga rush to Ryuga, who lies unconscious on the ground, as the other legendary Bladers arrive on the scene. Doji and Rago waste no time and start taunting them, saying El Drago is finished. To make matters worse, Dynamis drops the bombshell. With the loss of the summer constellation, Zeus's barrier can no longer be completed. Basically, they've lost the power of Gaia, the only thing that could seal Nemesis. It's the "we're in the endgame now" moment. Even so, the legendary Bladers don't give up and launch their bays against Rago's Diablo Nemesis, but they are repelled as if they were nothing. Rago reveals that Nemesis is like an evil Kirby. Masamune, Tsubasa, Yu, and Kenta join the fight, but they're also defeated in short order. Aguma comes up with a plan, and King uses Variares to hold Nemesis in place. The Bladers launch a combined attack, which ends with Jinga's cosmic tornado, but it's no use. Rago reveals Nemesis's ultimate balance mode, which automatically switches between attack, defense, and stamina. He unleashes its power, defeats everyone, and a dark energy begins to spread across the world. As everyone lies defeated, Kenta remembers the promise he made to Ryuga. He launches Sagittario and fights alone, taking a relentless beating. Just as he's about to be defeated, Ryuga awakens, and in a final act, transfers the power of his star fragment to him. Sagittario absorbs the energy and evolves into Flash Sagittario. Now, Kenta is a legendary Blader and is ready to face Rago, and to everyone's surprise, he manages to hold his own. Madoka analyzes the new bay and explains that its separate metal wheel and high spin track make it a super powerful stamina type that Nemesis can't properly attack. As the gang wonders how Kenta became a legendary Blader, Jinga explains he inherited Ryuga's star fragment. Because Kenta followed Ryuga on his journey and formed a strong bond with him, Ryuga acknowledged him and passed on his power.
Ryuga!
I promised. Take it! Kenta!
With the four-season Bladers finally reunited, they realize they can form Zeus's barrier. The other Bladers launch their bays to provide support, but Rago creates a wall of darkness, trapping Kenta on one side. Doji appears and attacks Kenta with his bay, Fire-Fused Darkhelm, mocking him, but Kenta doesn't give up. He switches Flash Sagittario to attack mode, fusing its layers to increase its power. While Kenta fights Doji, Rago attacks the other Bladers, defeating the Solar System crew. Seeing his friends in trouble and inspired by a vision of Ryuga, like a Force Ghost giving a pep talk, Kenta unleashes a new special move, Sagittario Diving Arrow, and finishes Doji off. With him out of the way, the four-season Bladers, Jinga, Kyoya, Chris, and Kenta, unite and finally succeed in forming Zeus's barrier, trapping Rago and Nemesis in a seal of light. Jinga and the legendary Bladers are going all out against Rago, trying to maintain Zeus's barrier. Their friends Masamune, Tsubasa, and Yu even try to help, but are instantly defeated. With Rago distracted, the legendaries attack again and manage to create the barrier, sealing Nemesis's power. But then, a tiny piece of Pluto's bay, Darkhelm, falls and creates a minuscule crack in the seal. Nemesis's power seems to be sucked inward, and a giant pillar of light explodes, causing the temple to collapse. The Bladers barely escape, leaving Rago and Pluto behind. Outside, the dark clouds disappear and the sun shines again. Everyone thinks they've won. Helicopters arrive with friends and family, with Blader DJ broadcasting their heroism to the world. But the party doesn't last long. A dark vortex appears and a giant shadowy monster emerges. It's the true form of Nemesis, now fused with the consciousness of Rago and Pluto. They reveal that the piece of Darkhelm allowed them to escape and absorb even more power. The monster, which is basically the final boss in its ultimate form, declares it will cover the world in the darkness of the Black Sun. The exhausted Bladers launch their bays, but their attacks are useless. Nemesis shatters all of them, leaving only Jinga's Pegasus. When all hope seems lost, Kyoya, Kenta, and all the other Bladers in the world offer the remaining spirit of their bays to Jinga. It's a total spirit bomb moment. With the power and hope of everyone flowing into Pegasus, Jinga prepares for the final battle. Jinga and Rago launch their bays for the final battle, and the mood is do or die. Pegasus charges in with a barrage of attacks, but Rago just laughs, revealing Nemesis's ultimate balance mode. Benkei explains that this beauty can switch its performance tip mid-battle, like changing an F1 car's tire on the move. With this, Nemesis not only withstands the assault, but counters with full force. Using the power of the other legendary Bladers, Nemesis simply steamrolls Pegasus. The impact is so powerful that Jinga's friends collapse in pain, one by one. Rago takes the opportunity to gloat, saying that human's limit has been reached, and reveals his bay's true power. Pure hatred accumulated from being sealed for thousands of years. With this negative energy, Nemesis transforms into a giant winged dragon, basically the final boss of a game you have no idea how to beat. When all hope seems lost, Benkei, Zio, and Toby discover that their own bays also hold the power of the star fragment. It clicks. Every Blader in the world has a piece of this power. This is the cue for a scene worthy of a spirit bomb. Bladers from all over the world unite, sending their base spirit to Pegasus in a massive wave of light. Empowered by the hope of the entire planet, Jinga shouts that the bond between Bladers is his ultimate power. He and Pegasus become one, fly into space, and unleash the special move, Super Cosmic Nova. The attack completely obliterates Nemesis and Rago, putting an end to the threat of the Black Sun and bringing peace back to the world. Exhausted, Jinga collapses but is caught by his friends, and just as the dust settles, Kyoya is already challenging Jinga to a new battle to decide who the #1 Blader is, and Jinga, of course, accepts on the spot with a smile on his face. 7 years after the Nemesis crisis, the world is finally at peace, and Beyblade is entering a new era. This is where we meet Zero, the new hotshot in town who arrives just in time for a local tournament where he's announced as the undefeated champion. He mops the floor with his opponents without breaking a sweat, securing his 100th consecutive victory with his bay, Samurai Ifrit.
He claims victory in this tournament! Whoa!
Until I become the #1 Blader in the world.
After lifting the trophy, Zero announces he's setting off on a training journey to become the world's #1 blader, a promise he made to none other than the legend himself, Jinga. Meanwhile, at WBBA headquarters, director Tsubasa and Madoka are discussing the resurgence of Beyblade and planning a new world tournament. Zero arrives in a new city, a sort of mecca for Beyblade, and heads straight for the Bay Park. There, he comes face to face with the Cyclone Stadium, a giant high-tech arena that spins and tilts during battles. Dying to test out the new toy, Zero challenges a group of local bladers, led by Kite, to a 7-on-1 battle. At first, he's completely thrown by the arena's wild mechanics and is forced on the defensive, but the kid is a fast learner and adapts quickly, using Samurai Ifrit's power to knock out his opponents one by one. After his victory, he immediately calls out for a fight with the strongest blader in town. Shinobu, a blonde blader, appears and introduces himself as Shinobu, scolding Zero for breaking the rules. But Zero is in no mood for talk and challenges him to a battle on the spot. Shinobu accepts and draws his Bay Ninja Salamander. As they prepare, Zero drops a bombshell. He's going to surpass even the legendary Jinga. Well, maybe not right now. He just got totally crushed. After taking a sound beating from Shinobu, Zero dives into a hardcore training regimen with Benkei and Maru. The training is the full-on fighting movie montage, pulling tires up a hill, holding buckets of water to strengthen his arms, and even practicing his launch on a net to improve his balance. To light a fire under him, Benkei reveals that he was the one who trained the legendary Kenta, which gets Zero even more fired up. But, frustrated by the lack of real battles, Zero is confronted by an arrogant kid named 8 Unabara, who mocks his training and claims that talent is all that matters. Determined to prove him wrong, Zero challenges him to a battle at the Bay Park. The fight takes place in the wildly unstable Cyclone Bay Stadium. 8, with his Bay pirate Orochi, starts off dominating, using the arena's instability to his advantage. But Zero is a quick study. He starts using the stadium's movements to copy 8's tactics and lands some powerful hits with his Samurai Ifrit. 8 gets peeved and tries to win on stamina, but Zero's intense training has given Ifrit insane endurance and launch power. Zero uses Ifrit's speed to shake the entire arena so violently that Pirate Orochi loses its balance. Seizing the opportunity, he unleashes his special move, sending Pirate Orochi flying out of the stadium and securing the win.
Send him flying!
8 runs off, defeated, but vowing that his older brother will get revenge. Elsewhere, Tsubasa watches a recording of the fight, impressed by Samurai Ifrit and the emergence of a new generation of bladers. Zero defeats Orochi with his special move, and news of his victory spreads like wildfire through the city. At the Bay Park, he tries his luck and challenges Shinobu to a rematch, but Shinobu coldly refuses, saying their match is already settled, and simply walks away. Frustrated, Zero goes into a berserker mode, battling and defeating a string of bladers, vowing to become strong enough to face Shinobu again. Meanwhile, Tsubasa, Madoka, and Benkei watch from the stands, and Tsubasa declares that it's time for the next phase of their plan. Suddenly, screens all over the city show Blader DJ announcing a one-day tournament. At his burger shop, he explains to Zero that this is his chance to force a fight with Shinobu, who won't be able to refuse an official competition. Benkei advises Zero not to be predictable and to use Ifrit's full power. After more intense training, the tournament begins. Both Zero and Shinobu crush their opponents and advance with ease. In the stands, 2 new bladers, Kite and 8, observe the battles. Zero and Shinobu finally face off in the finals. Zero's initial attack is strong, but Shinobu uses the stadium's unique movement to his advantage, launching a barrage of ninja attacks that overwhelm Ifrit. Remembering Benkei's advice, Zero has Ifrit run wildly and unpredictably, breaking Shinobu's strategy. He then unleashes a new special move, the Ifrit burning uppercut, which sends Shinobu's salamander flying. Zero wins the tournament, finally earning Shinobu's respect.
Use every last ounce of power you have! Ifrit! Burning uppercut!
But next time, I will win against you, I promise.
As the crowd goes wild, Tsubasa realizes that a new era of Beyblade has begun, and up in the stands, Kite smirks as he analyzes the battle data on his laptop. The guy is determined to find a weakness and create the perfect formula for victory, like a coach studying game tape on the opposition. Meanwhile, Zero, Shinobu, Maru, and Benkei are at a training camp by a mountain lake. Benkei's first drill is straight out of a Rocky Balboa warm-up, run 30 laps around the lake. Zero and Shinobu, who never miss a chance to compete, compete, turn the run into a life-or-death race. The training continues to be insane, with the two of them punching boulders, lifting logs, and scaling a cliff face. At the top, they argue about who got there first and, in the middle of the fight, end up falling into the lake. Classic. Later, Shinobu has a moment of clarity and admits to Zero that he was too focused on technique and forgot the basics. Brute strength. He vows to win next time, and Zero fires right back. Back in the city, 8, Kite's younger brother, shows up and hands Zero a challenge letter. It's the older brother looking for a fight. The duel takes place in a stadium. Kite reveals his bae, Guardian Leviathan, and says he's going to punish Zero for upsetting his little brother. The battle begins with Zero's Ifrit attacking relentlessly, but Leviathan is an absolute tank, standing firm in the center of the stadium like a fortress. Kite reveals his plan, to drain Ifrit's stamina. There's just one problem. Zero's bae shows no signs of tiring, defying all the strategist's calculations. Kite's system crashes. The battle ends with Kite's victory, as he uses his special move Spiral Crush to finish Zero off. At the burger shop, Maru, the team's genius, analyzes the data and figures out the Unabara brothers' trick. They combine 2 warrior wheels to turbocharge their bae's power. Basically, a brilliant hack. Shortly after, the group is summoned to WBBA headquarters by the director, none other than Tsubasa, a living Beyblade legend. Tsubasa drops the bombshell. 7 years after the Nemesis crisis, he and Madoka created a new system called Synchrome. It's like a Dragon Ball fusion, but for baes. 2 rivals with a strong bond can unite their beasts. And the most shocking part? The Unabara brothers figured it out on their own. Tsubasa then lays out the mission. He wants Zero and Shinobu to use Synchrome to surpass even the legendary bladers. Zero is all in and reveals that his Ifrit was a gift from the #1 blader, Jinga, who told him to become even stronger. Hearing this, Shinobu is furious. His idol gave a bae to his greatest rival. He refuses to train in Synchrome and storms off. The next day, a new blader, Ren Kurenai, appears and defeats 3 opponents at once with her Thief Phoenix. Using the same special move as Zero, Ren challenges Shinobu, but Zero steps in, claiming the move is his. During the battle, Zero yells to Shinobu that he only developed that move because he wanted to beat him, and that Shinobu is the only Synchrome partner he'll accept. With this declaration of bromance, Zero uses his burning uppercut and defeats Ren. Inspired, Shinobu finally agrees to team up. They challenge the Unabara brothers, revealing their own Synchrome bae, Salamander Ifrit. Now it's an even fight.
Decide this once and for all! You got it! This is Salamander Ifrit!
And of course, Zero wins. The training resumes, now with Ren on the team. Kite and 8 also show up, pretending they're just there to observe and collect data, basically spying in plain sight. Benkei takes charge and lays down a golden rule. Synchrome is temporarily forbidden. First, they need to grind and improve their individual skills and blader spirit. The vibe is pure wax on, wax off from the Karate Kid. Benkei splits them into pairs, Shinobu versus Ren, while Zero is tasked with launching Ifrit through an obstacle course filled with rocks. Zero struggles to control his bae's raw power, but eventually succeeds. In the other battle, Shinobu has his head in the clouds, thinking about special moves, and Ren calls him out. Benkei scolds them both, Ren for relying too much on her bae's gimmicks, and Shinobu for not fighting with his own style. Later, the gang helps a busy Benkei at the burger shop. Ren finds a mysterious key to the Bay Park. That night, a frustrated Shinobu trains alone. Ren also slips away and uses the key to enter the closed Bay Park to practice in the stadium. It's there that a new blader, Takanosuke, appears. He mistakes Ren for Zero, saying he came to defeat him and become #1. Ren challenges him, but Takanosuke's Archer Griffin is a tough nut to crack. When the rest of the group arrives, Takanosuke provokes Shinobu, calling him a runner-up. That's the last straw. A furious Shinobu takes Ren's place. His direct attacks are useless, but with his friend's encouragement, he has an epiphany. Salamander's true strength lies in its speed and balance. He unleashes a new special move, Phantom Fire Shot, creating multiple clones of light that leave Takanosuke completely lost. It's a clean victory.
More like 3, 4, 5!
Go now, Salamander! Phantom Fire Shot!
Takanosuke, instead of getting angry, is thrilled by the battle and declares a new rivalry. Just add him to the list. Zero and the gang arrive at the beach for a day of sun, but who shows up to crash the party? Benkei, who gives a full-on coach-style speech about the importance of training. This actually inspires the crew to start a hardcore workout on the sand. But wait, it was all a dream. The gang wakes up and decides the beach is for relaxing, not for grinding. At a nearby shack, they discover that a rumor about a sea monster is scaring away all the tourists. Naturally, this Scooby-Doo crew Maru decides to investigate the mystery. At night, a bizarre creature covered in seaweed with glowing red eyes emerges from the sea, shouting at them not to pollute the ocean. Shinobu, who is not in a playful mood, launches his bay and hits the creature. And, surprise, it was just a guy in a costume. The next day, they confront the monster, a blader named Kikura, who was dressing up to protect the beach from pollution. A well-meaning but clumsy eco-warrior, Kite isn't amused by the lie and challenges Kikura to a battle in a natural rock arena. Kikura's pirate Kraken, a defense-type bay, withstands all of Kite's Leviathan's attacks. The battle becomes a test of endurance, but the tide rises and floods the arena. A technical draw thanks to Mother Nature. Then, it's Zero's turn, and Kikura, without meaning to, makes a huge blunder. He reveals that his bay is actually a stamina type, and that its only weak point is an attack from above. Zero, who's no fool, uses this tip immediately. He launches Samurai Ifrit high into the air and comes crashing down, knocking out Kraken.
Ifrit! I won, I guess.
End of story, and a lesson learned. Don't tell your opponent your bay's secret weakness. At WBBA headquarters, Tsubasa summons Zero and his friends for a mission, become a Beyblade boy band, and tour the country doing exhibition battles. The goal is to teach everyone how to use the new Cyclone stadiums. Zero is on board instantly, but Kite, the eternal contrarian, thinks it's a drag. After a little push from Shinobu, Ren, and his brother 8, he finally caves. The gang then splits up, each heading to a different bay park. Zero and Maru find some bladers who are a bit lost, and Zero immediately calls everyone out for a battle, hyping up the crowd. Elsewhere, Shinobu is in easy mode, defeating multiple opponents at once with his salamander. Meanwhile, the Unibara brothers, 8 and Kite, are putting on a show with their bays, Leviathan and Orochi, but their battle is interrupted by a mysterious bay that appears out of nowhere and knocks both of theirs out of the arena. Whoa. The same thing happens to Ren and Takanosuke. The bay's owner finally appears and introduces himself. Sakyo, master of the left-spinning bay, Ronin Dragoon. Takanosuke immediately gets the reference. It's the same style as the legendary Dragon Emperor, Ryuga. Sakyo isn't here to make friends. He says his mission is to crush all strong bladers and proves it by defeating Ren and Takanosuke. He even reveals that his Dragoon and Takanosuke's Griffin are the same type, just that one spins in the opposite direction. The day ends with a tired but happy Zero being challenged by Akuya's gang. At the same time elsewhere, Sakyo appears before Shinobu and declares that he's next on the list. The mood just got heavy, but Akuya's gang corners Zero and challenges him for control of the Cyclone Stadium. The match, 6 against 1, and Zero, who never backs down from a fight, accepts without a second thought. The battle begins, and Zero launches Samurai Ifrit, which tears through the arena like a steamroller, taking out 5 bays in seconds. Only Akuya's archer Gargoyle is left standing. Gargoyle is a tough nut to crack and withstands Ifrit's attacks. Seeing this, Akuya's gang cheats and re-enters the battle, surrounding Zero's bay, but they forgot one detail. The Cyclone Stadium tilts. Zero uses this to his advantage, making Ifrit climb the wall like Spider-Man, escape the trap, and knock out the other bays one by one. To top it off, he unleashes his special move, Ifrit Burning Uppercut, creating a fiery tornado that engulfs the stadium and defeats Gargoyle. A clean victory.
Ifrit! Burning uppercut! Gargoyle!
As they celebrate, Maru gets a sinister call from her boss, warning of a new, very serious threat. The scene cuts to a desolate location where Shinobu is battling Sakyo, and it's not going well. Sakyo's Ronin Dragoon, with its reverse rotation, is simply annihilating Thief Salamander, and when we say annihilating, we mean it literally. Shinobu's bay is shattered into dust. Zero and Maru arrive to find Shinobu on the ground, defeated. Sakyo introduces himself as the heir to the Ebony Dragon, the bay passed down by the legendary Dragon Emperor. Vowing to crush everyone to reach the top, Sakyo challenges Zero. Furious after seeing what happened to his friend, Zero accepts on the spot. He's easily defeated, but vows to win next time. After getting thrashed by Sakyo, Zero's crew gets an earful from Benkei, who's acting like a drill sergeant. He accuses them all of being overconfident and puts the team through a grueling training session. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Kite is close to breaking his computer out of frustration. He can't find any data on left spinning bays. His little brother brother 8 sweetly offers him a sandwich, but Kite, at the peak of his stress, slaps the food away. Hurt, 8 wanders off and finds the bee pit full of bladers crying over their broken bays. They tell him that a giant guy named Yoshio is acting like a human bulldozer, destroying everything with his bay, bandit golem, and looking for Kite. Wanting to protect his brother, 8 goes after this Yoshio, and with a straight face, lies and says that he is Kite. The battle begins, but it's a massacre. 8's thief Phoenix doesn't stand a chance against Golem's brute force. Yoshio realizes the bay isn't a defense type and figures out the lie. Just as Zero's team arrives, Yoshio crushes 8's bay and sends a message. He wants the real Kite at the Bay Park. Upon learning that his brother was humiliated, Kite goes into revenge mode, trains all night, and the next day faces Yoshio in the stadium. But as we all know, revenge isn't everything. Kite loses. After 2 straight losses, Kite is livid. He ignores his brother 8's suggestion to use data and declares that their new strategy is brute force. They're going to use a Synchrome Bay, fusing the power of both of their bays. Meanwhile, Zero and his friends are in detective mode, analyzing the data from Golem's battle. To decide who will challenge the beast next, they settle it the old-fashioned way, rock, paper, scissors, and Zero wins. Maru suggests a death by 1,000 cuts tactic. Use Samurai Ifrit to deliver a barrage of small attacks, drain Golem's stamina, and only then go for the final blow. The crew heads off to train, and Zero takes on both Shinobu and Ren at the same time in a 2v1 hard mode. Things get intense. Out of nowhere, a random blader shows up on the beach, seeking revenge against Zero's gang for a prank gone wrong. Before he can do anything, Takanosuke, who was looking for Sakyo, challenges him and wins the battle in a flash. As soon as the battle ends, Kite and 8 appear and call Takanosuke a test subject. They take him to a new Bay Park and challenge him. The brothers combine their bays, Guardian Leviathan and Pirate Orochi, creating the Synchrome Bay Orochi Leviathan. Takanosuke's Archer Griffin is completely annihilated by the fusion's weight and power. The Unabara brothers win with their special move, Spiral Cross, and leave feeling like kings.
Spiral Crush! That's perfect! Rats!
Immediately after, Sakyo emerges and offers to help a desolate Takanosuke. At a burger joint, Zero is on his champion's diet, a mountain of burgers to recharge his batteries. He and Shinobu complain about their arms aching from the previous day's intense training. Meanwhile, at the WBBA stadium, a blader named Akuya and his gang of thugs take over the arena, kicking everyone out. Their party is interrupted by the arrival of Yoshio, the behemoth. Akuya tries to recruit Yoshio to defeat Zero, but Yoshio just calls the gang clowns and refuses. Furious, Akuya challenges him. Akuya's attacks don't even tickle Yoshio's golem. Desperate, he calls on his 5 henchmen for a 6-on-1 battle, but even together, they can't scratch Golem's defense. Yoshio defeats 5 bays with ease, and to finish it off, shatters Akuya's Archer Gargoyle. As the gang flees, Zero and his friends arrive. Angered by Yoshio's violence, Zero challenges him. Zero uses guerrilla tactics, attacking and retreating with his Ifrit to wear Golem down. Yoshio responds by creating an energy vortex that traps Ifrit. Remembering his training with his friends, Zero uses his base power to escape and unleashes his special move, the Burning Uppercut, sending Golem out of the stadium.
No, my golem!
Zero barely has time to celebrate before he collapses from exhaustion. It's then that a mysterious figure named Kira appears, reveals himself as Yoshio's master, and, as punishment for the loss, remotely destroys Golem. Kira then challenges the group with his Bay, Berserker Behemoth. Shinobu accepts, but is defeated in seconds. To make matters worse, Kira announces that the next battle will be a Synchrome battle. At the WBBA, Madoka and Tsubasa are playing detective, analyzing 2 new Beyblades, Bandit Golem and Berserker Behemoth. They realize the bays are bootleg copies based on their own designs, which allows them to use Synchrome. Tsubasa immediately orders an investigation. Meanwhile, Zero is training hard, smashing rocks with his Bay, leaving even Benkei speechless. Shinobu, with an injured arm, can only watch from the sidelines in frustration. Out of nowhere, Kite and his brother 8 appear, furious that Zero defeated Yoshio, whom Kite considered his personal rival. Kite goes after Zero, but the protagonist explains that he's now going to fight Kira in Shinobu's place. Maru shows a simulation of Golem Behemoth, the fusion of Kira's and Yoshio's bays, which has a perfectly round warrior wheel designed for maximum defense, like an impenetrable shield. Kite freaks out when he sees that this new bay destroys all of his strategies and demands to fight Kira himself. Benkei lays down the law and organizes a battle, Zero versus Kite, and the winner faces Kira. In the arena, the two launch their synchrone bays. Kite, overconfident with the data he has on Ifrit, plans to drain its stamina. Leviathan creates a giant tornado, but Zero has Ifrit race around the stadium at an insane speed, breaking the wind and winning the match with his special move, Burning Uppercut. Later, Kira hacks into the WBBA network like a movie villain and challenges Zero to a battle at a specific location. The gang arrives in a desert, and a massive M-shaped stadium, the Octagon Showdown Stadium, emerges from the ground. Kira and Yoshio appear, revealing that the stadium was custom built to neutralize Zero's Cyclone strategies. The battle begins, and Golem Behemoth's defense is flawless. Zero adapts and uses the walls to launch a new special move from above, the Salamander Ifrit Diving Crash. The attack hits, but Kira unleashes his own special move, the Gaia Hammer, and defeats Zero with a single powerful impact. Kira then declares that the era of the WBBA is over, and that a new one will be built by his organization, DNA.
New era will not be built by you. It will be built by us at the DNA.
After getting schooled by the newcomer Kira, Zero has to listen to the guy gloat about a national tournament. Back at WBBA headquarters, Zero and his friends report everything to Tsubasa, who reveals an ace up his sleeve. He was already preparing a national tournament called Neo Battle Bladers. His idea is that, just as the original Battle Bladers began Jinga's legend, this new tournament will begin the legend of their generation. As the gang celebrates, the WBBA systems are hacked by Argo Garcia and his brothers, the former Brazilian team known as Team Garcia. They reveal that they formed DNA using the leftover technology from Hades Inc. to create a new generation of powerful bladers, including Kira and Yoshio. Their goal? To defeat the WBBA and get their revenge. In response, Tsubasa officially announces the start of Neo Battle Bladers. The news spreads, and the rules are simple. The 8 bladers with the most wins in official Cyclone stadiums will advance to the finals. The tournament begins, and it's a mad dash for victories. Zero, Shinobu, Kite, 8, and Ren start racking up wins. However, Ren's lucky streak ends when she is challenged and defeated by another DNA blader, Genjiro, whose bandit Genbu is immune to the stadium's movements. While Kira corners Kite and 8 in another arena, Zero discovers that no one wants to fight him anymore. Suddenly, all the bladers around him are knocked out by a mysterious force, revealing Sakyo and Takanosuke, who have arrived in full force to challenge Zero.
What is going on out there?
There's another really strong blader in this too.
The Neo Battle Bladers tournament is heating up in the qualifiers. Zero wants to settle the score with Sakyo, but Takanosuke insists on fighting first to prove he's on the same level. Their showdown is interrupted by Spike Bourne, a blader from the rival organization DNA, who challenges Zero. Maru quickly discovers that Spike's bae, Thief Zurago, is not an official WBBA product. Meanwhile, in another arena, the Unabara brothers, Kite and 8, are confronted by DNA bladers Kira and Yoshio. Kite challenges Yoshio, but Kira insists on fighting 8 first. To complicate matters, Akuya shows up and challenges Yoshio. Suddenly, multiple battles erupt at once: Zero versus Spike, Kite versus Akuya's gang, 8 versus Kira, and Yoshio versus Akuya. It's turned into a full-blown battle royale. Spike's strategy is to attack Samurai Ifrit relentlessly, trying to wear it down. Maru analyzes that Zurago's warrior wheel is dealing considerable damage with each hit. Despite the warnings, Zero continues to fight head-on. When Ifrit is at its limit, Zero unleashes his special move, Burning Uppercut, sending Thief Zurago flying and securing the victory. Just as Zero celebrates, Genjiro arrives, having just defeated Ren. He reveals that he was sent by Kira just to damage Zero's bae. Sakyo is furious at this, saying it's disrespectful to Beyblade to fight without the will to win. He steps in and defeats Genjiro with a single powerful blow from his Ronin Dragoon. The time for the qualifiers runs out. The top 8 bladers advancing to the finals are announced: Kite, Shinobu, Sakyo, Zero, Kira, Yoshio, Takanosuke, and a mysterious blader named Captain Arrow.
Arrow! What?
So, which one of these amazing bladers?
The Neo Battle Bladers finals kick off at the Cyclone Arena, and the atmosphere is electric. The 8 finalists are introduced, including our favorites, Zero, Shinobu, and the mysterious Kira. The WBBA director, Tsubasa, officially starts the tournament. The first match is Yoshio versus Shinobu. Shinobu's salamander goes right after Yoshio's golem, but the big guy defends with the tornado. It looked like trouble, but Shinobu pulls a new trick out of his hat. His new special move, Blazing Ring Shot, which sends Golem flying out of the arena. Easy win. The second showdown is Kira versus Kite, and this one's personal. Kite wants revenge for his brother 8 and challenges Kira to a synchrone battle, creating a Orochi Leviathan. Kira accepts, using Golem Behemoth. Kite uses the arena's air currents to create a whirlwind, but the clever Kira uses the same current to speed up. Their special moves, Spiral Crush and Gaia Hammer, collide, and Kira's Behemoth comes out on top. The third fight is over in the blink of an eye. DNA's Captain Arrow versus Sakyo. Arrow's special move, Arrow Tornado, is shattered like glass by Sakyo's Dragoon, which knocks out Wyvern with a single hit. A total massacre. To close out the round, the main event, Zero versus Takanosuke. Zero's Ifrit and Takanosuke's Griffin trade blows. Zero unleashes his burning uppercut, but Griffin holds strong. Takanosuke then reveals his own special move, Triangle Slash, using the stadium's edge for a 3-pronged attack. Zero answers with another burning uppercut. The collision of their moves creates a massive explosion, and when the smoke clears, Griffin has stopped spinning. Zero wins.
Special move, Delta Slash!
The tournament has narrowed, and the Neo Battle Bladers semi-finalists are announced. Shinobu, Kira, Sakyo, and Zero. The matchups are set. Sakyo versus Zero and Kira versus Shinobu. While Shinobu trains with Ren and Kite to perfect his new Blazing Ring Shot, Zero decides to go the crazy route. To prepare for the power of Sakyo's left-spinning Bay, Ronin Dragoon, Zero asks the gym manager to use a Wrecking Ball to simulate his opponent's force. That's right, he's repeatedly launching Samurai Ifrit at a giant Wrecking Ball. This kid is not normal. Meanwhile, the DNA organization watches as Kira destroys Golem, Genbull, and Wyvang with his Berserker Behemoth, proving his base stamina is off the charts. The Garcias are brimming with confidence, but Kira knows the other Bladers are strong and is already cooking up a secret plan. The day of the semifinals arrives. The first match is Zero versus Sakyo. As soon as the battle starts, the opposing rotations of Ifrit and Dragoon cause the Cyclone Arena to simply stop spinning. Sakyo declares an early victory, but Zero, fueled by his friend's support, uses his Blader spirit to get the arena spinning again. It's the power of the protagonist. He unleashes his burning uppercut, which clashes with Sakyo's Dragon Rover. In an epic explosion, Dragoon is sent flying out of the arena. Zero is the winner and advances to the final. Sakyo accepts the loss gracefully and makes peace with Takanosuke, promising they'll get back to the talk together. Now, it's Kira versus Shinobu. But as the Bladers face off, Kira drops a bombshell on everyone. He won't be using his usual Bay, Berserker Behemoth, but a new one, Gladiator Bahamut. The sudden switch shocks everyone, including the DNA crew, who realize Kira is now acting on his own. The battle begins, and Shinobu attacks with his Thief Phoenix Salamander, using the Phantom attack style, but the barrage of hits doesn't even leave a scratch. Bahamut's element wheel has 4 blades that serve as both defense and counterattack, damaging Salamander with every blow it lands itself. It's like punching a wall of spikes. In a desperate move, Shinobu unleashes his special move, Blazing Ring Shot, but Bahamut withstands the blast. Kira explains that his Bay's spin track acts like a brake, preventing it from being knocked out. Then Kira unleashes Bahamut's true power, causing the entire stadium to shake and crumble. He launches his special move, Gladiator Demolition, and the impact is so brutal that Salamander shatters into pieces. Shinobu is thrown from his platform and knocked unconscious. As Zero rushes to help his friend, Kira taunts him, revealing his full turn to the dark side. Later, at DNA headquarters, Kira and his new allies betray the Garcias, defeating them easily. Blinded by rage and thirsting for revenge, Zero begins to train recklessly. It is then that a legend appears. Jinga himself, who challenges him to a battle. As Samurai Ifrit faces Jinga's Samurai Pegasus, he helps Zero remember his true blader spirit, the bonds with his friends, and his love for Beyblade, not hatred. Zero understands the message and finds a new focus for the final battle against Kira. The Neo Battle Bladers final is on fire with an insane crowd gathered to see the showdown between Kira and Zero. While a heavily bandaged Shinobu watches from a hospital bed, Zero's friends are freaking out because he's running late. But, in true protagonist fashion, Zero arrives at the last second, running and out of breath. Inside the arena, Kira launches into his villain monologue, declaring that the DNA organization will take over the Beyblade world, and that he will display his absolute power. Zero confronts him, vowing to win for Shinobu, who sacrificed himself just so Zero could witness Kira's special move. The battle begins, and Kira's Bey, Gladiator Bahamut, unleashes a merciless barrage of attacks, even cracking the stadium floor. Weathering the storm, Zero uses a technique he learned from Shinobu to dodge and counterattacks with his special move, Burning Uppercut. The fiery attack sends Bahamut flying, but it manages to stabilize. Kira then mocks Zero's faith in friendship, claiming that power is all that matters. He follows up by launching his own special move, Gladiator Demolition, creating an energy vortex that destroys the entire stadium. As Zero is engulfed by the power, a recovering Shinobu yells for him not to give up. With the power of friendship activated, Zero's base spirit clashes with Kira's, causing a colossal explosion. When the smoke clears, Bahamut has stopped spinning. Zero is the champion.
Burning tornado fire!
His friends, now joined by Shinobu, rush in to celebrate. On the big screen, Tsubasa announces the dawn of a new era and an upcoming world tournament. Zero even approaches Kira and says he'll be waiting for a rematch because you can never have too many good rivals. What a class act. While traveling, the legendary blader Jinga finds a little boy crying over his stolen Bey. Jinga promises to help and follows the boy to a pagoda, only to discover it's a trap. The kid reveals himself as a mini-villain, steals Jinga's Samurai Pegasus, and throws him into a pit. F for our hero. 3 months later, Beyblade is more popular than ever, thanks in large part to the champion Zero. In a stadium, Zero easily defeats one challenger after another. His friends, including Shinobu, Kite, Ren, and 8, watch from the audience. Suddenly, Blader DJ drops a bombshell announcement. The WBBA is forming a national team for a world tournament. Zero, Shinobu, and Kite are already starters. For the remaining spots, there will be an open tournament for everyone. The news sends the Beyblade community into a frenzy. That night, the same villain who tricked Jinga, Baihu, attacks 2 bladers in the rain, effortlessly destroying their bays. The next day, a crowd is training at the Bay Park, but the session is interrupted by a gang led by Yoshio, who threatens to crush anyone associated with the WBBA. When they start smashing the stadium, Kite steps in to challenge Yoshio. However, Baihu appears, revealing himself as the true opponent and introducing his Bey, Berserker Byakko. Kite launches his Guardian Leviathan, but Baihu's Bey is too powerful. Even with Kite using his Whirlpool counterattack, Baihu unleashes his special move, Fierce Tiger Blast, and shatters Leviathan to pieces.
Move! Fierce Tiger Blast! Unbelievable!
Baihu declares that the era of the WBBA is over and that his organization, DNA, will reign. As Zero prepares to fight, Baihu and his crew retreat. In a grim facility, a mysterious figure punishes the Garcias and reveals himself. It's Doji, the former head of the Dark Nebula, explaining that DNA stands for Dark Nebula Again. The plot twist hits hard. The WBBA organizes a tournament to select new members for the Japanese national team, and Blader DJ promises maximum security against DNA, but we all know anime security never works. After a flashback showing Baihu destroying an opponent, the tournament begins, but is quickly interrupted by the arrival of Kira and the DNA Bladers, who breathes right through security as if it were paper. Zero, Shinobu, and Kite confront the invaders. Zero even tries to appeal to reason, asking them not to ruin the tournament, but Kira is in full villain mode and declares anyone from the WBBA an enemy. A battle royale erupts in the stadium. Ren, Takanosuke, and 8 manage to defeat defeat their opponents, and Zero himself makes short work of Yoshio. Then, the big boss Kira steps in to challenge Zero, revealing his new Synchrome Bay, Pegasus Bahamut. He launches the Bay against Zero's Salamander Ifrit, and the power of the new machine is simply absurd. Pegasus Bahamut overpowers Ifrit, shatters the stadium, and leaves Zero defeated on the ground. As Kira boasts about his victory, a giant shadowy energy projection of Doji appears in the sky and drops the bombshell. Jinga has joined DNA. Doji explains his evil plan. After the Nemesis crisis, his consciousness was saved in a computer system, like a Marvel villain. He manipulated the Garcias to revive him and create DNA, all while secretly developing Pegasus Bahamut by combining Bahamut with the warrior wheel of Jinga's Pegasus. He issues an ultimatum: swear loyalty to DNA or be destroyed. As everyone stands in shock, Zero hears Jinga's voice in his mind and decides, along with his friends, to find DNA's secret base and uncover the truth.
I believe in Jinga totally. We will find DNA's secret base and discover the truth for ourselves.
Following a map from Madoka, Zero and his friends arrive in a sinister, mountainous region. In a flashback at WBBA headquarters, Madoka reveals she tracked DNA's secret base by tracing Doji's energy. Zero, determined to prove the story about Jinda being a traitor is bogus, insists they have to go there immediately. Tsubasa tries to brief them on just how villainous Doji is, but Zero isn't having any of it. He needs to save Kira and the others from DNA's brainwashing. With the director's blessing, the team sets off on their mission. Back in the present, the group finds a massive, futuristic fortress built into a canyon. Maru confirms it. That's the DNA HQ. Back at the WBBA, Tsubasa and Benkei realize it was way too easy to find the place and figure out it's a trap. And they're right. As Zero's team approaches, a mysterious bandaged blader named Karu-Ra appears, calling himself a superhuman guardian. He introduces his Bay, Guardian Garudas, and claims he can control the elements of nature. The guy puts on a show, summoning flames from the ground, a gust of wind, and even a lightning bolt that defeats the bays of Zero, Shinobu, and Ren in a single strike. But Kite, the group's scientist, doesn't buy the supernatural power shtick and challenges Karu-Ra with his Leviathan. As they battle, Maru analyzes the area and discovers the trick. The region is volcanic. Karu-Ra was just sinking his attacks with natural gas eruptions, valley winds, and lightning strikes. Figuring out the scheme, Kite tells the others to go on ahead while he holds off the phony. He uses Leviathan's attacks to cause a rock slide, trapping Karu-Ra and his Bay in a fiery pit. The rest of the team runs into the fortress, only to come face to face with the Garcia brothers and an army of DNA bladers. Doji's voice echoes, welcoming them and confirming they've walked right into his trap. Overwhelmed by the number of opponents, the heroes decide to split up to divide the enemy forces, scrambling in different directions. Kite and Ren end up cornered in a hallway where the villains use electromagnetic waves to mess with their Bay's performance. They are quickly defeated by a special move called Arrow Tornado. Elsewhere, Shinobu is trapped inside a reinforced glass cube created by Genjiro. His Bay, Genbu, uses the cube's walls to ricochet and build up power, like a deadly pinball. Shinobu's salamander can't get the speed it needs for its special move and is ultimately defeated as the glass cube shatters. Meanwhile, Zero and Maru are led into a dead end that opens into an octagon stadium. There, they meet the big villain from the beginning, who now wields a Synchrome Bay, Behemoth Golem. Zero's Ifrit can't land a single decent hit and takes a brutal beating. As the heroes are defeated one by one, we see Jinga trapped in some kind of crystal prison, feeling their pain. Doji appears on a screen, gloating that he orchestrated everything as revenge against Jinga, forcing him to watch the new generation of bladers get crushed. When all seems lost, Sakyo and Takanosuke show up to save the day. They combine their bays to form the Synchrome Griffin Dragoon, and easily defeat the villains who trapped Kite and Ren. They then go after the guy with the Behemoth Golem, telling Zero to push forward. This annoys Sakyo, who explains that a true Bay Synchrome requires the united hearts of two bladers who trust each other. Recalling how losing to Zero taught him the importance of friends, Sakyo reveals that he and Takanosuke are fighting as one. With their combined power, Griffin Dragoon utterly shatters Behemoth Golem.
Here we go, Takanosuke!
You betcha, Sakyo!
Breakthrough Griffin Dragoon!
Meanwhile, Zero, Shinobu, and Maru find their path blocked by a new opponent, Baihu. Shinobu stops Zero from fighting, explaining that the entire facility is a trap, and Zero needs to conserve his strength to face Kira's powerful Pegasus Bahamut. Doji appears in a memory, boasting that the legendary blader Jinga is now on their side. Shinobu takes on Baihu, but as soon as the battle begins, the stadium transforms into a complex maze, neutralizing Salamander's speed. Baihu, who has memorized the maze, uses his wild instincts to attack Salamander from its blind spots. After being cornered and hit by the special move, Fierce Tiger Blitz, Shinobu comes up with a new plan. He has Salamander simply smash through the maze walls, creating a straight path. With the way cleared, Shinobu unleashes his own special move, Blazing Ring Shot, and defeats Baihu.
Special move! Blazing Ring Shot!
The team advances to another room, which turns out to be an elevator. It ascends to a new level, where they find Jinga trapped inside a crystal prison. Doji's whole speech was just another lie. When Zero, in a heroic impulse, tries to free him, he gets zapped so hard he must have seen stars. And who appears to laugh at his expense? Doji himself, revealing that it was all a trap to lure them in. He then introduces the final boss, Kira, with his bae, Gladiator Bahamut. Then comes the bombshell. Doji reveals that Bahamut was created using the power of Jinga's Samurai Pegasus, and even shows the parts of the legendary hero's bae completely disassembled. It's like someone taking your favorite Funko Pop and breaking it right in front of you. Doji begins his villain monologue, explaining that the trap-filled castle was just to wear them down before the final fight. Even with his Ifrit all patched up, Zero is unfazed and says he'll fight, fueled by the spirit of the friends who helped him. At that moment, Shinobu, a natural strategist, steps forward. He gives Zero the warrior wheel from his ninja Salamander, revealing he intentionally protected the part during his battle, already planning for this showdown. Zero then fuses the two parts, creating the Synchrome Bay Salamander Ifrit.
Your opponent is this Salamander Ifrit!
Doji reveals the stage for the battle, a floating stadium. One fall, and it's over. The battle begins, and Gladiator Bahamut, powered by the stolen energy of Pegasus, is completely overwhelming Salamander Ifrit in both strength and speed. To make matters worse, Doji appears in a giant mecha, Phantom Fenrir, and launches another bae into the arena, but an honorable Kira destroys the intruding bae and tells Doji to stay out of it. Doji laughs and reveals his true goal, to see Jinga suffer while watching his successor be crushed. Enraged, Zero and Kira clash in a massive explosion, and their beasts materialize in the air. The impact is so powerful that the entire stadium begins to rise, and their bit beasts emerge to fight. Things get so surreal they are transported to a cosmic space, where they have a cosmic showdown over their life philosophies. Kira's absolute power versus Zero's faith in the blader's spirit and friendship. Basically, the Force versus the dark side. Back in the arena, they unleash their special moves, Burning Tornado Fire and Final Ultimate Demolition. The explosion is gigantic, and when the dust settles, only Salamander Ifrit is still spinning. Zero is the winner.
Tornado Fire!
But the arena is falling apart, the floor gives way, and Kira falls. In a scene worthy of an action movie, Zero manages to grab his hand, refusing to let his new friend die. And who shows up to ruin the moment? Doji in his spider mecha, ready to let them both fall. When the platform finally gives way, Yoshio performs a heroic act, throwing Zero and Kira to safety and narrowly escaping the fall himself. Enraged, Doji transforms the entire mecha into a giant Beyblade to attack the survivors. But as he strikes, a Bey flies in and stops the attack. It's Samurai Pegasus, launched by the legendary Jinga. The man, the myth, the legend is back. Zero and Jinga stand side by side, and soon Kira joins them after retrieving his Bey from Yoshio, who miraculously survived. The three bladers launch a combined attack, Ifrit Super Burning Uppercut, Galaxy Nova, and Behemoth Rising Gaia Hammer, and completely pulverize Doji's mecha. With DNA defeated, a new tournament is announced to decide Japan's team for the World Championship. But to cap it all off, Kira shows up with a new team called Bridge to the Future, ready to challenge everyone.